This game and the stream broadcast rights to this game are the sole and exclusive property of the WPIAL. Any broadcast of this game is intended exclusively for the benefit of the North Catholic Sports Network audience. Any use, rebroadcast, or distribution of this broadcast without the express written consent of the WPIAL is prohibited.
Trib Live High School Sports Network is the official video and audio streaming partner of the WPIAL. We broadcast over 2,000 sporting events each year and cover 17 sports in over 170 schools. At HSSN, you'll find the latest in high school sports news, live and archive broadcasts, scores, standings, and much more. Trib Live High School Sports Network, your high school sports leader. All season, every season.
And we are coming to you live from the Mars High School football field for this section matchup between the Derry area Trojans and the North Catholic Trojans. Hello and welcome inside the stadium and onto the field. My name is Alex Brown.
And I'm Ryan Berry.
And we are your hosts of the Trojan Game Day Show, and we are proud to bring it to you live on the North Catholic Sports Network and the Trib Live High School Sports Network as we bring you our pregame coverage from the field level here at Mars High School. And we will be bringing it to you in about 15 minutes the start of tonight's matchup between Derry and North. But before we do that, Ryan, let's talk about the season each team has had up to this point.
Yeah, North Catholic got started very fast with a nice one at Hopewell, 6-0. In that game, they did not score in the first quarter, Alex, but then they didn't look back from there. They scored in the second quarter, and they just dominated throughout that game.
62 points in 31 minutes in that first game of the year. That, believe it or not, was in the last weekend of August. And then after that, they went to Ambridge, and they beat Ambridge very similarly in a shutout fashion, 41-0. And that was another dominant performance.
And then they had a home game at J.C. Stone Field against Blackhawk, in which they won in a very tight affair, 19-7, Alex.
18-17, you mean?
Or 18-17, yeah.
18-17, but it was a really close game, Ryan. And we were both there on the field for that one as well. And that was one that came down to a last-second field goal attempt by Blackhawk that they pulled it wide left to give the Trojans their first non-section win of the season. And a big one at that. And then they went to Valley after that, and they beat them 49-0, giving them their third shutout of the season. And after that, Ryan, they went to East Allegheny, came here to Mars for homecoming game, where they beat them 31-14 after not having a good first half, but they really came out strong in that second half.
And then they played North Catholic played Burrell, and they dominated them 56-0. A complete domination is a great offensive and defensive performance. And then they traveled to South Park. And that was a tougher game, and they came out there and played very good, just dominated throughout that game as well.
And then Deer Lakes came here 2 weeks ago on this very network, and they beat them 35-0, giving them their sixth shutout this season.
And the last game North Catholic played was against Freeport, a 33-7 win, and that game was probably North Catholic's best game of the year. Freeport was a very, very good team throughout the season, Alex. They were just playing really good football. They were undefeated in the conference. North Catholic went in there and just rocked the house there.
They really did, and that was the Steelers Showcase game of the week as well, Ryan.
Yep.
And in that game, North won, and that gave them the Allegheny 7th championship, the conference championship.
Yeah, they came out with firing, 20 points in the first quarter, and they ended up winning 33-7. I mean, they played very good. They scored early. They didn't look back. I mean, that's what you need to do if you're the Trojans throughout the rest of the season.
And North this year has been led by their defense mostly.
Yep.
In this last game, they had a pick 6 for a touchdown. And that's really been the story of their season, where they've been, even if their offense is having a bad game, Ryan, their defense has really been able to come through and pull their weight for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the most important things. Not every game they've been able to get going offensively. Most games they've been able to score. I mean, but it's just so good when you have that offense that can score and a defense that can step up when the offense isn't playing their best. I mean, it's just been a really fun team to watch this year, Alex, and they're poised for a long whippeal run.
Absolutely. But before we get to that, we have to talk about this game, Ryan. The game we have tonight for you between Derry and North. And Derry this year has not been good. They're 0-8, 0-4 in the conference, and has only scored 15 points on the road all year, and their defense gives up an average of 53 points per game.
Yeah, this is a game North College just got to focus on the specifics. Avoid injuries, just come out, don't let Derry do anything, don't let them get anything, and just dominate from there.
Yeah. No momentum at all. You can't get them anything. North this year, for comparison, has given up an average of 4.2 points per game.
Yep.
And has scored 366 points this year. 366.
I mean,
Derry has given up 427.
Yep, as we mentioned, North Catholic defense has led the way and provided the offense just to be able to dominate this year as well. 366 points, Alex, in 9 games is just truly incredible, and 38 points allowed is truly incredible as well. I mean, they've been led on both sides of the ball by a veteran leadership of Joey Prentice, and on the defensive side, he's out there as well. So,
yeah.
Alex, let's talk about some of the seniors.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the seniors. They've been such a big impact to this team. As we talked about them 2 weeks ago for senior night that was here against the Deer Lakes game, and this senior showed out in that one. But as you said, the leadership, Joey Prentice this year has really been solid. He's battled adversity through an injury that he's been suffering with his ankle throughout the year. But he's persevered, and he's played very well this season, Ryan.
Yeah, they're led by another senior leader, Kyle Topinski. He's been great this year as well. And Liam Straw's been great this year as well. There's been just a lot of senior leadership on this team that's really helped them stay focused every single game and just play well throughout.
Tyler Primrose, Andrew Stevens, another members, key leaders on this team that have really brought some stability to this team and some leadership, even when the hard times, even when they've been down at halves, even when they've been had a couple bad offensive drives in a row. They've really been that rock, that consistency for the team this year to really make them the team that they are.
Yeah, Alex, what do you think the keys to this game are for North Catholic? I mean, I know Derry's a lesser opponent, but there's still things you got to focus on and do well to make sure you're ready for the postseason, because North Catholic is probably going to have a bye after this game, so they got to make sure they sharpen on anything they need to before the postseason.
I think my keys for this game, Ryan, is no injuries. You cannot have any injuries in this game. You play your starters for the first quarter, and then that's it. Take them out, and then put the other guys in. You don't want to risk anyone getting hurt, and especially in this game tonight. Depth players get on the field, and the players get experience that they might need later in their careers, if not sooner rather than later. And that's what these games are all about. You get them out there in these situations, play some meaningful football. And just getting those snaps just builds that confidence for maybe even later in the playoffs if they need them, or in the upcoming seasons that they're here.
I think my main thing is focusing on specifics, especially turnovers and penalties. That's definitely something they got to focus on. Not take stupid penalties and not turn the ball over. They've turned the ball over probably much more than they've wanted to, but I think this is a game that you can fix that. 0 turnovers is the goal. Anything less than that is probably what Coach O'Shea will not be happy with. And penalties. They've been pretty good recently penalties this year. It was a little bad at the beginning of the season. They've improved week by week, but they're doing very good on penalty-wise.
They really have. But as you said, Ryan, we've been talking about the first game of this year, doing the little things right. And when the little things go right, the big things follow. And we've seen that come throughout this whole season, Ryan. This whole season, when they do the little things right, they win these games big.
Yeah, I feel like that's been our specifics and keys to win every single game. Just focus on the specifics. I mean, I feel like every game we're focusing on the little things. Make sure you get the little things right, and the big things will follow. As you said, this got to definitely do that. No penalties, no turnovers, no missed extra points, no kick-outs out of bounds. Just focus on those, because that's going to be important when you start playing these bigger powerhouses like Central Valley and Avonworth in the postseason.
Absolutely. As another stat about the North Catholic defense, 38 points this year total that they've given up in their 9 games that they've played this season, Ryan. 38 points total. That's incredible. And that is exactly the type of success that they've had this season. And also, Ryan, when you talk about the offense, they've had their struggles throughout the season. As we said, Joey's been injured. They've had games where they've just been really, really underwhelming in terms of their offensive production against the teams that they've been playing. But they've battled through that adversity throughout this entire season to give themselves the abilities to be up in these games, Ryan.
Definitely, their offense has been key, and their defense has been key as well. I mean, the defense just gives them a shot to win every single game, and their offense has followed suit.
Absolutely. And here comes the Trojan marching band behind us. The Trojans are football team walking out to our left, your right on our screen. And we're about to get ready to get underway as it is I would say this is easily the chilliest start we've had to a
coldest game. Yeah, coldest game so far this year. North Catholic's hoping to not get shaken by that cold, just get a good start, get a good lead early in the first quarter, and then just put some depth players and give them experience before the postseason.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jason Sickett probably get it in there at the start of the second quarter. I wouldn't be surprised at that, though.
Oh, yeah, late second quarter, maybe early second quarter, depending on the score. You don't want to risk anything.
No, you don't. Not at all.
With keeping Joey in there because he's going to be very important in the postseason.
And throughout the season, we've seen the ability of these depth players. As there's been injuries throughout the game, there's been injuries in practices. When you got to get them to come in, they've really been key contributors to this squad this year. As here they come out now to our right. And it's going to be another dominant performance tonight, Ryan. I expect this to be their 7th shutout of the season.
Alex, now looking at the postseason, who do you think are the biggest challenges for North in this postseason?
Oh, it's the same thing as it's been the last couple of years. You got Elizabeth Ford, still a solid team, and then you got Central Valley, who's always the powerhouse in the last several years in this conference. But you got to be able to overcome that. You got to be able to use the motivation from those losses from previous years to be able to get you to that point and over that hump that they've been struggling to get over.
As you mentioned, Elizabeth Ford beat North Catholic last year. Elizabeth Ford is 7-2 in the year. They haven't had that tough a schedule, but they're still a good team. And North Catholic, I think, can definitely use motivation if they face them in the playoffs. Avonworth is another one of those teams. They've been very good this year. And of course, Central Valley, they're always the top dog and the team to beat. And North Catholic has got to be striving to play them and beat them in the postseason. But they got to focus on this game first. Just get past this game, get past the bye week, and then just get ready for the postseason, Alex.
Absolutely. And now as the Trojans get over to their sideline, we're going to get ready to bring you to the National Anthem and the Trojan alma mater. So we'll set it up to the booth. Mr. Mazyars is your PA guy. Take it away.
For the play of our National Anthem. And now the North Catholic alma mater.
And again, the keys to this game, Alex, focus on the specifics, focus on the important things like no turnovers, no penalties.
Absolutely, no injuries either. You got to get your starters in, starters out, and then play a solid game from there. And that's all from us here on the field, Ryan. And let's send it up to the booth. Sean Malone, Darren Lyles, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Week 9 of the WPIAL football season. We are coming to you from the Mars Athletics Complex in Mars, PA. Your North Catholic Trojans meet the Derry area Trojans in this Class 3A Allegheny 7 conference matchup right here on the North Catholic Sports Network and Trib Live High School Sports Network. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Malone alongside Darren Lyles, Ryan Berry, and Alex Brown. The Trojans enter this evening's game after a road victory last Friday at Freeport, which allowed them to claim the conference championship and improve their overall record to 9-0 with a 5-0 record in the conference. North is looking to close out the regular season and keep their perfect record intact with a win here over Derry. On the other side of the field, the Trojans from Derry come in at 0-8 overall, 0-4 in the conference after losing last week at home to Burrell by a score of 43-14. Derry has really struggled this year, Darren. Just to give you some comparison, they lost to Burrell. It's at 43-14. North Catholic beat Burrell 56-0. So this game might not be close, but from a North Catholic perspective, what are you looking to get out of this game?
Sean, these last weeks of the season, especially this last game, it's a weird dynamic, especially when you have a team like Derry, that's been out of it. And I've been on that side of the field. I've been on Week 9. Your season's over. There's no playoffs. There's nothing to play for. This is your last game this season. Mindsets kind of vary on that side of the field. You have maybe your underclassmen are just kind of ready to be done. Maybe they're thinking about their winter sports. While your seniors, a lot of them, this is the last time they're ever going to put a set of pads on. So they're really trying to enjoy their last moments on the field and really make the best of it. Looking from a North Catholic perspective, many of those games, like I said, when I was on the opposite side of nothing to play for, the teams either were trying to play for seeding or they also had nothing to play for as well. North kind of has that dynamic too, where they're not playing for anything, but they also have the dynamic of they have a playoff game in a couple weeks, so they're trying to get out of here in one piece. So if you're really looking from a North perspective, I caught up with Coach O'Shea and actually kind of discussed this with him. You just want to see some clean execution. You maybe, if your starters play, let them play for a little bit, clean up things you want to look for and work on going into the playoffs. So, this is like a game-like practice. So let them play a clean game and then hopefully get out of here without injuries.
Yeah, those are great things to emphasize. A clean game, that's something we've talked about all year. The offense has had an unfortunate tendency to ill-timed turnovers that you would like to see snuffed out totally in this game before they get a playoff game. And I like that you mentioned a couple weeks, because it's almost a certainty that North Catholic is going to get one of the 4 byes that are available in AAA, which means that the Trojans aren't going to play another game after this for 2 weeks, and that's going to be a quarterfinal WPIAL playoff game, so that's going to be an intense game. So you don't want to go many, many weeks without seeing some intense game action. So there's certainly the starters are going to be out and raring to go in the first quarter and wanting to put up a big lead on Derry quickly.
Yeah, and another thing Coach O'Shea mentioned, to be blunt, Sean, we're looking at scores, we're looking at results. North Catholic's average game is 40.7 to 4.2 points, while Derry is averaging 7 points to giving up 53. You want to win with some dignity here. You want to get up, and then, let's not try to score 100 on them. Let's try to get out of here, give people one piece, make this a reasonable score, and, move on and start focusing on your next opponent.
And one of the reasons that Derry has really struggled is that they have such a small team. I think you said they're bringing 22 kids, but it looks like they have a few more kids than that running out on the field. But the numbers disparity is also being reflected in the coin toss here. Yeah. North Catholic has 4 seniors out there, and then Prentice and Maziar's about 10 yards behind them, whereas Derry had 1 there at the start, and now they've got a few more players running over there. But that's just one of the things that Derry is up against, is that North Catholic has far more players in this game. And
it's also fair to mention, Sean, there's been a coaching change at Derry this year. the current head coach has only been in place for 2 weeks. The previous head coach was let go middle of the season, and that's always difficult, whether it's the pro level or college level. I'd have to assume at the high school level it's even more difficult. Having that new voice in the room, and seeing if any terminology may have changed, or trying to keep going what was already established.
Yeah, for those of you who've been following North Catholic football for a while, Derry a couple of years ago had an excellent team. And especially they had a pair of really good running backs, and they ended up upsetting North Catholic in the semifinals, I think, of the playoffs 4 years ago. That was a really devastating loss. North Catholic had a great team that year. It was a back-and-forth game. Derry edged ahead at the end of the fourth quarter. So Derry has a recent history of having very good football teams. But perhaps that class had graduated, and maybe that coach left before
it's funny
this
you
year.
mention that, Sean, because in my experience with football, Derry has been a program that's struggled a lot. So it was almost kind of interesting to see them come out of nowhere and have that success a couple years ago. So I'm not sure if that was just a really talented, perfect storm of the senior class and junior class kind of all together, because they were pretty tough a couple years ago as well, or just is maybe coaching at the lower levels not translating as well, or it's a lot of question marks of why you have such a great team a couple years ago, then you're averaging losing by almost 50 points a game.
Yeah, a 46-point average loss for Derry, but they're going to get decent field position to start here at the 35-yard line as Daniel Long kicked the ball out of bounds. So right away, kind of a mistake that you wouldn't have wanted to see from North Catholic. But the defense has been superb all year, and you would figure Derry's going to have a tough time getting any first downs. And their quarterback is number 24, and he's immediately tackled by half the defense, and he fumbles the ball. And did they not rule that a fumble?
I think they ruled down by contact,
okay.
So just calling it a sack for right now. That first play was kind of what I predicted, kind of just a jailbreak by the whole defensive front running at the Derry quarterback there. So I think we'll see a lot of that domination on the line tonight for North Catholic.
Yeah, it's Derry's quarterback is number 24, which is an interesting number for a quarterback.
I think Doug Flutie wore 21 at Boston College.
It's a great old-time reference there, Taryn. Doug Flutie, one of the Hail Mary pass against, was that Notre Dame? And here's a handoff to 22, Ahmad Ward, and he's actually going to get some positive yardage. That's going to bring up a third and 13.
One thing I'm curious to see if Derry's coaches would just try being this, they're an 0-8 team, versus a 9-0 team. We see maybe some trickeration today. Just nothing to lose last game of the year. Why not try something exciting? On paper it looks like your regular offense might not have the most success, so maybe try to catch North Catholic napping.
They do have a freshman back at quarterback. Hand off to Ward. He's going to the outside. He's got a little bit of room, and he pulls Seamus Straub for a ride for only a yard or two, though. And that sack was really devastating on first down, because those were some positive running plays for Derry on second and third down, but they're still ending up 6 yards short of the first down.
Yeah, Ward is running hard out there, and I think North Catholic, they need to make sure that they're coming out with some emotion here. Sometimes it's hard when you realize, on paper you're the far superior team and it's the last game of the season, you're thinking about the playoffs, but, you want to finish with that 9-0 record, because if there were somehow a loss here, that could, crush seeding purposes.
And Derry's White boots it away. It's caught by, that's going to be Straub. Straub is running to his left, and he's got the sideline. Liam Straub could go all the way here. Straub's at the 35, cuts into the field, 30, 20, to the 10-yard line. No one is close to Straub. Touchdown, Trojans.
Great blocking all around by the Trojan special team there, especially at the end there. Julian King, I mentioned him on another touchdown that got called back a couple weeks ago. Lead block and looked like a fullback, followed by Jason Sickett, quarterback, also throwing some blocks out there. And once again, that's just the superior athletes, following their assignments, and that's the result.
I think that was about a 70-yard punt return for Liam Straub. That's a welcome sign.
And the funny thing is we never really think of Liam Straub as a burner. We always say about how slippery he is, but, he looked like he was really pulling away from a lot of those Derry athletes on that return.
Yeah, Straub, he returned, I think, a kick in the first couple weeks of the season, and we haven't seen that from him since then. So nice to get Liam Straub back on track in special teams. So
Yeah, and that's one way to avoid any possible bad snaps is just take the punt back for a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. North Catholic up 7-0 here, 10-10 to go in the first quarter. Up 7-0 without even a snap on offense. The Trojans are up by a touchdown. Weather-wise, this is definitely our coldest game of the year. We have the windows closed up here in the booth, which is quite nice.
I mean,
it's
Sean,
probably about 50 degrees on the field, but this is like when you think of football weather, this is probably what you think of.
Yeah, Sean, I have experienced many 30, low 40-degree starts in the middle, the last couple weeks of the season, not even the last week. So this is a welcome sight for any player on the field that's not, especially the guys that maybe are waiting to get in the game, not quite in the game yet, because, you're always a little bit warmer when you're out there playing, but, the sidelines is a real cold place to be. Let me just tell you, Sean. So, a welcome sight comparatively for weather for a lot of these players out there.
This time, Long's kick stays in bounds, fielded at about the 10 by the Derry returner, Connor Lucas. Lucas runs it up towards the left hash mark before he's met by several Trojans, and Derry will have about 80 yards to go if they want to tie up this game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Derry comes out and runs the ball the first couple downs. They seem to have some success last drive, especially comparatively to what we've seen from the Trojan defense. A lot of teams have really struggled to get any type of running game going, so to actually have consecutive positive runs is a good sign for Derry. So let's see if that's what they kind of, make the focal point of their offense.
Derry's got 4 wide receivers. They're stacked out to the left and the right. They try to run up the middle, but this time there is no room at all for Ward.
A lot of times you see teams try to spread out defenses and, lighten the box with receivers. And that doesn't really seem to really work against North Catholic because the defensive line is so good at getting off of blocks that it kind of negates the advantage of lightening up the box there, bringing defenders out from in tight. So that's one thing I've noticed throughout the year here with this Trojan defense.
Now Derry does the opposite and brings everybody in tight, and they hand it out wide to a jet motion there for Chance White, who seems to be the Daniel Long of his team. He does the kicking, the punting, he's a defensive back, and there he's also a wide receiver and running back on that play even.
Man of many hats.
3rd and 7 for Derry with about 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. This time they're going to use 4 wide receivers again. Their quarterback is looking to pass, and he's going to be tackled. He fumbles the ball, but it's jumped on alertly by Noah Simmerman, a senior lineman for the Derry area Trojans.
Sean, I was just watching that pass rush. That was kind of my focus on that play. I wanted to see how that Derry offensive line fared, and it did not fare too good. If he had more than a second to throw, that might be generous with the clock there. They were in his face, forcing pressure pretty much as soon as the ball hit his hands. So great job by that Trojan defensive line, Daniel Long, Tyler Primrose, and company.
Here's another punt from White. Straub and Fennell are going to be back there. This time the ball is heading towards Fennell. He catches it, and he's going to run to his left. And now he's going to cut back up the middle, and he's got room to the outside. And Jack Fennell, if he can beat the kicker, is going to go take it all the way to the end zone. But no, he's pushed out of bounds just inside the 10-yard line. Great effort from White, who punted the ball away.
Yeah, great return by Fennell, reading the block, seeing where lanes were, then using his speed to explode through there. Another good block by Julian King on special teams. If that last block could have sealed out just a little bit more, created more of a lane, but great defense there by White, closing off that lane, kind of pinning him to the sideline and pushing him out of bounds.
White has a pretty good leg for a high school punter. He may be out-kicking his coverage. And here is the Trojans' first play on offense, and they're on the Derry 7-yard line, so it could be one play and another touchdown for North Catholic. Prentice gets the snap in the shotgun, fakes the handoff to Topinski, keeps it, runs to the left corner of the end zone. He is in for the touchdown, Joey Prentice.
Just great play. Everyone's assuming, feeling out process, run up the middle. Joey Prentice's pulls, great touchdown. And it's amazing, Sean, what a great snap does. Perfect for timing, allows him to make that nice fake pull and find the end zone. So that's what you want to see. Clean offense.
Yeah, very clean offensive play there. Good snap to Prentice, as Darren said, and he runs it into the left quarter of the end zone. And North Catholic is up 13-0. Daniel Long is trying to point after here. And that one is going to be blocked by Derry after a bad snap, so the point after is not good. Marsico did kick that first extra point, right?
I believe so. I don't know why we saw the switch. If he tweaked his foot, I'm trying to see if I can see him on the sideline. If he's banged up anywhere.
He just ran back onto the field.
Maybe
and he just got the tee or something. He just gave a high five to Daniel Long. I'm not sure why Long tried to kick that instead of Marsico.
I mean, maybe it's a case he is a senior. Maybe you're trying to find your next field goal kicker for next year. So, if you feel comfortable in this game, you could lose a point here and there, and still get away with it. So maybe that's the mindset.
So North Catholic up 13-0 with 8:02 left to go in the first quarter.
And only one offensive play.
Only one offensive play.
That's called efficiency, Sean.
Yeah, two excellent punt returns for North Catholic. Derry might just consider punting the ball out of bounds. That guy's got a good leg. He could probably direct it out of bounds. And Marsico this time kicks it out of bounds, so this problem continues for North Catholic, giving Derry the ball at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, consequently, Derry's best play is kickoffs because they don't have to field them, and they get the best field position they've seen.
Yeah, Derry, their offense will take the field for the third time in the first quarter, looking for their first down.
And Sean, just again mentioning that this year North Catholic is averaging only giving up 4.2 points a game. But once again, I've mentioned this last broadcast. If you take just their AAA, their division opponents, it's a lot closer to 2 points a game.
And there's a handoff to Ahmad Ward, and Joey Prentice read that really well and was unblocked in the backfield.
Yeah, great defense by Joey Prentice, jolting in there, breaking up the play, but hard running by the Derry running back there, forcing both him and Daniel Long to kind of bring him down together.
Yeah, Ward is doing his best so far in this first quarter. He just hasn't had any room at all out there.
I mean, just looking at it from the booth, Sean, just the size difference in teams is kind of apparent here. So, Derry's trying their all to kind of get some ball movement with their line.
And this time it's a handoff to White on the outside, and he is going to get the yards back that were lost on first down and make this a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5.
Yeah. Derry's been doing a good job. I mean, I think they realize they're just not going to be able to line up and force North Catholic's defense off the ball. So they're doing a lot of misdirection and trying to pull part of the defense away of where the ball's actually going, trying to win the blocks in the number game that way. So we'll see what they kind of go with a 3rd and medium.
Yeah, 3rd and 5 is what it's listed on the scoreboard. And Derry is doing like a half huddle where just the offensive line went back to the quarterback. Everybody is really close to the line. There are like 2 wide receiver tight ends on each side and a really, really early jump on Derry. And that's probably going to be a false start. Yes, it is, and that makes it into a 3rd and 10.
Maybe they should have had a full huddle there, Sean.
Yeah, the person who false started was one of the people who did not go in on that mini huddle.
And and the thing in a game like this, Derry is definitely thinking about trying to put some points on the board for pride. So many teams have struggled to score against North Catholic's defense. Even coming away with just one score is really a badge of honor for this team if they can somehow figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, North Catholic has allowed points in only 3 games so far this year. The 18-17 win against Blackhawk, a 31-14 win against East Allegheny, and a 33-7 win last week against Freeport. The Derry quarterback is struggling to find room. He throws it down the field, and it just lands out of bounds. It was intended for his quarterback, for his running back, but there wasn't really any room there, and Derry's going to have to punt again.
Yeah, that quarterback, once again, as soon as he catches the snap, running for his life from that North Catholic pass rush, does a good job just to avoid the sack and get rid of the ball there.
To the point you made earlier about size disparity, we're looking at the roster before the game. Derry does have a player who is 6'5", but he is in khakis and injured on the sideline. So their tallest player is 6'1". So in addition to a roster size disparity, there's also a size on the field disparity that is going to make it really hard for Derry to block the North Catholic pass rush, to push down the field, to run the ball, and then on offense to clog up the running lanes for the Trojans as well. So Derry really is up against a lot of disadvantages tonight.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, you could be you could be, good technically, but sometimes size is size, and there's not something you can do about it sometimes. It's, moving a 260, 250-pound person, you still have to move that weight and get that space cleared. It's hard when you have big people like that North Catholic has.
So Derry will punt again.
Let's
White is punting, and Straub is on the right-hand side of Fennel.
Sean, are we thinking a third return inside the 10?
Derry did call a punt, so maybe they're talking about what they could do here. He punts it towards the sideline this time, and it rolls out of bounds at about the 34-yard line. Really smart punt there from White. His team has suffered two pretty bad punt return defenses. Just kick it out of bounds, and he kicked it a good long way, too. That was an excellent punt.
I mean, he's shown good punts this year. Just the coverage hasn't been there with the punts. So
North Catholic will probably have to take more than one play this time if they're going to score a touchdown, as they have 66 yards to go to the end zone, 7 minutes left in the first quarter.
So what I really want to see here, Sean, is, as much as we love a 66-yard touchdown in the first play, you'd like to see some solid, sustained offense. Solid plays, good snaps, good technique, easily moving the ball down the field. No mistakes here.
Prentice throws it to Maziarz. Maziarz makes one person miss, and he drags another play out across the 50-yard line into Derry territory. So a 17, 18-yard gain on first down.
Like I said, that's a good play. You little screen, good technique, good snap, good blocking. That's what you want to see, just clean plays.
Tyler Maziarz is doing something that I'm not sure I've seen before. He's just wearing a hoodie.
The last time I heard about that was some guy in Green Bay, and I think he got banned from doing it a couple weeks later. But apparently it might be allowed for PIAA rules.
Yeah, so Tyler Maziarz, who's split way wide right, is wearing a hoodie. We were wondering if he was actually going to play. Jack Fennel gets the handoff. He breaks it to the outside. He's inside the 40. He's to the 30, where he's finally brought down by Derry's number 11, Damari Robinson. So another big gain play for the Trojans. In 2 plays, they've moved the ball about 40 yards.
Yeah, two great offensive plays. And one thing I'm noticing with Derry's defense is they are at least playing the angles well. I mean, they realize they can't run with some of these North Catholic athletes. So they're playing angles and kind of cutting it off, keeping it to 20 yards instead of 60.
Prentice this time on a quarterback keeper. He's got to the sideline. He pitches it at the last second to Fennel. And he may have just been better served running forward there to get some extra yards. The pitch back to Fennel was so close to the sideline that Fennel couldn't do much with it.
Yeah, sometimes those option plays are hard. You got to make sure you're on the same page, and your back has to realize, hey, I'm still a viable option, or my quarterback isn't just taking off. So luckily, you're able to keep that play clean for a nice positive gain.
2nd and 4 with 4 wide receivers. They are Liam Straub and Kyle Topinski to the left, and then Mitch Landthaler and Tyler Maziarz out to the right.
Why is the clock stopped? Do they? Oh, I want to bounce. Okay, I'm sure we did that before 2 minutes.
Prentice, ball fake, look into the end zone, throws it to an open Landthaler for a touchdown. Mitch Landthaler, 24-yard touchdown pass. 24-yard touchdown catch.
And that's what you want to see, Sean. It wasn't just one big play where someone, breaks a couple tackles and goes 60 yards for the touchdown. I mean, yes, there were big plays, Sean, but they were 3, 4 clean plays. I saw good snaps. I saw good protection. I saw good blocking. I saw athletes following their holes. That's what you want to see. Clean plays for this offense, getting in that habit of, this is what we do. I don't have to worry about bad snaps, that mindset of just repetition of success.
And there's a good snap on the extra point. Marsico will boot it up and through, and that makes it 20-0 North Catholic here in the first quarter. If you were listening to the pregame show with Alex Brown and Ryan Barry, Alex predicted a couple times that we might not see some of the North Catholic starters past the first quarter. That struck me as a little early, but what do you think about Alex's prediction based on what we've seen so far, Darren?
I mean, there's still 5 minutes left. I mean, it's it's viable. They could put 2 more scores on the board. I mean, if we're looking at a 32-0 game after the first, I mean, what's the point? What's the point at that stage of the game? So, there's an old thing if you played Madden growing up, Sean. It's 21 whitewash. Sometimes you're playing a younger sibling or cousin. If you're up by 21, let's quit this game and start a new one. You're not coming back. They're not 21 quite yet, but I think they're creeping towards that point of no return where this game looks out of reach, especially for what we've seen on the field so far.
Yes, 5:48 left in the fourth quarter. North Catholic up 20-0. They've moved down the field with ease on their 4 offensive plays, but they continue to kick the ball. What happened there on that kick?
That was the old Tim Wakefield knuckleball. Just it didn't even flip. It was like spinning it vertically and then hit the ground and just went out. So that was a very interesting kick there. I don't know how he struck that ball to get that result, but very interesting kick there. One thing to keep in mind, too, as this game progresses, Sean, we talk about the starters leaving. The last thing you want to do, though, is pull all your starters out, tell them, you're done for the day. Then, maybe your backups do struggle because this is a varsity team, record or not, point total or not. This is a varsity team out there, and you'd hate to see them, creep back and make this a 1-score game. And, then all of a sudden you're scrambling your varsity back out there again and telling them, restrap up their pads and get ready to play. So I'm kind of curious to see where they feel comfortable in the point of the game and the spread of the game to make that decision to pull their starters. Like I said, you are obviously worried about injuries, but maybe you let them go about halfway to the second quarter. You have a nice big gap. Even if the backups are outplayed, it's too insurmountable of a lead to really come back from. So that's kind of the dynamic I'm waiting to see how they handle this, and it's a hard decision for a coach.
And here's the first down play for Derry. They give it to White again, going to the outside, and Prentice catches him and throws him down about 5 or 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I almost thought we were going to see a fumble there. He seemed to be fumbling with the ball within his hands a little bit. If someone could have had it, maybe got a little earlier hit on him, we might have seen a Trojan ball there. Well, North Catholic Trojan ball.
Yeah, something you mentioned earlier was that you might mix in some second-string players, some JV players with starters, and I think the Trojans are already doing that on defense. It looks like Alex Jackson, number 82, is in there on the defensive line, as is Julian King. And it's good to work them in there, but we don't normally see them this early. And I think Julian King may have been in there on the sack.
Yeah,
Darren.
Speaking of, and this is something you could do. And great pass rush there by Julian King. Great speed rush there. But, instead of just pulling everyone out at once and, having that full JV roster, and you kind of slowly but surely incorporate some of your second stringers. So you're still, in a comfortable position with superior talent on the field. And little by little, you keep spreading that lead. Then eventually you do have that full JV team out there instead of just all at once and then, just hoping that they could continue what the varsity started.
3rd and 26 for Derry. They're going to hand it off, and he's got a little bit of room, the Derry running back, and before he's brought down from behind by Tyler Maziars. That was Ahmad Ward carrying the ball for the Derry area Trojans, and that's going to bring up a 4th down for them, and their punt team will return to the field.
And Sean, one thing I definitely want to point out too, no matter who's on the field, I guarantee you the varsity guys are telling those JV guys, don't give up points. We've had so many shutouts this year, averaging 4.2 yards a game. Don't let Derry ruin those stats we put up so far. So, the second string guys are definitely going to want to try to, earn that respect of those older guys. So, it's going to be, some really passionate ball possibly as we move forward in this game.
Here's another punt towards the sideline from White, and that one goes out of bounds much earlier than the last one. The referee is walking up the sideline here inside the 50 to about the 45-yard line of Derry. So North Catholic will have 45 yards to go to see if they can stretch this lead even further than the 20 points it already is. And that may have been the quickest change of possession I've ever seen. The offense for the Trojans got out on the field really fast. And Derry has so few players that I wonder if they're getting tired already.
A lot of the guys are playing both ways, so.
So 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line for North Catholic. Prentice, as always, in the shotgun. And this time he's going to hand it off to Topinski. He stumbles but gets back on his feet, makes a jump cut, slips one tackle, drags another player, and gets brought down after about a 17-yard gain. Topinski, we mentioned the size difference. He's just so much bigger than the players trying to tackle him there.
Kyle Topinski looks bigger than most of Derry's line, offensive and defensive, and he was just dragging the majority of the Derry defenders with him. I mean, that's some stuff you want to put on the highlight reel. And if you're the Derry defender, you're like, put your head down in the next play, realizing you're definitely bested. One thing I want to see also moving forward in this game is I want to see the ball distribution here. I feel like Coach O'Shea might be thinking everyone that usually touches the ball, get everyone at least one touch so they're not going like a full week possibly without having a game touch. So let's see how he spreads that around.
Prentice goes deep and caught! Tyler Maziarz, and Prentice was under pressure there too. What a play.
What a dime by Joey Prentice. Pressure in his face and puts it right in the breadbasket, in stride. That probably was the best throw I've seen Joey Prentice make as his career quarterback. That was a high level throw on the money and great focus by Maziar running, beating the defender because the defender was right in his back pocket and making that touchdown catch.
Yeah, Derry did not defend that play poorly. They had a free rusher in Prentice's face who put a slight hit on Prentice after he threw the ball. They had somebody right on Maziarz. That was a beautiful play from the North Catholic offense. Long is going to kick this one again, and it's a direct snap to Long. He's trying to get to the end zone. He fumbles it backwards to J.D. Butler to try to get it into the end zone, but J.D. couldn't get it, and the 2-point conversion does not work, and it is 26-0.
I was almost thinking there that the old direct snap to Daniel Long, very slick play there, but as we know, it wasn't a great snap there, and the conversion failed. So Daniel Long.
Do you think that was just a bad snap?
I think it was a bad snap. There's no need to go for 2 in this game, Sean. So I think it was just a bad snap, but some bad luck for Daniel Long right there.
Whether you need a business headshot, family portrait, or you just want to remember that toothless grin of your 6-year-old, Dina Koenig Photography is at your service. Dina specializes in capturing the beauty of your family and creating customized wall art to decorate your home. Dina Koenig Photography is the official photographer of North Catholic Athletics. Speaking of North Catholic Athletics, Dina Koenig has got to photograph some really successful teams throughout the season. Not only this undefeated Trojan football team, but a lot of the other teams in the fall sports season. And as we go through the game tonight, we'll make sure to mention those teams throughout the game. And again, the kickoff goes out of bounds. That's 5 out of 6? 4 out of 5? 4 out of 5.
Sean, one thing I've noticed a lot through this year is I felt there's a lot of kicks that with one more bounce possibly could have went out of bounds, but the returners for the various teams, attempted to pick it up and make a play, But Derry kind of using their brain here, realizing, offense has been real start and stop. Take the yardage when you can. So that's one thing, kind of see moving forward. I'm sure, in the playoffs, teams will definitely mention to the returners, hey, if it's looking like it's going out of bounds, take that yardage. So we'll see if that could, be something we see in a couple weeks.
And here's the Derry offense. It's a fumbled handoff. But he does get his own fumble, and Derry's going to get back to about the line of scrimmage. So it's going to be about a 2nd and 10 as we go under 3 minutes to play in the first quarter. Derry has a 2nd and 9, 2:30 left in the first quarter. Ward is to his quarterback's left. That's Blake Revore. And Revore is rolling out to his right. He throws it, and that was the intended receiver, Jamari Robinson, was a little bit maybe behind J.D. Butler, but the pass was well overthrown.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the actual route, was it a stop and go, or if it was just a little bit of a breakdown. And, as a receiver, you're taught if you see your quarterback starting to scramble, you try to break from some open field, get in some space. Antonio Brown was one of the best ever to do that. So I'm not sure if that was the route or just a heads-up play by the receiver, but Derry couldn't connect on that long pass.
3rd and 9 now. Derry's quarterback in the shotgun, and he's going to hand it to – he kept the ball. I really thought he handed it off. And the quarterback is enveloped by 3 different Trojans. No first down again for Derry, and they will punt again.
Yeah, once again, Derry, I think, thinking the running game is probably their best shot. Nothing in their passing game with the actual throwing of the ball has seemed, at an efficient level. So there has been sparks with the running game, so that's what Derry might be sticking to right here.
Chance White will punt. Let's see if he puts it. Go high and short to Fennell. Fennell gets the ball, and this time that one was high enough for the coverage to catch up to Fennell, and he does not have a huge return like he and Straub had on their first 2 chances. So North Catholic will get the ball at about the 35-yard line.
One thing I'm noticing too, it looks a little different compared to other games, is I'm not sure if they're just working on returns or if they're just not trying to run up the score and make it worse than it is. I haven't really seen North Catholic's punt team, punt return team, really go for that block that they've been known to push for. So I'm not sure if they're trying to just let them kick the ball, let's not make it worse than we need it to be, or if it's they're trying to work on something new, maybe a new wrinkle this late in the season on the side of special teams.
North Catholic is going to come out with 2 tight ends, so a power formation.
They call this Ram formation, Sean.
Ram formation.
Ram.
And Straub is in motion, and he is Prentice fakes the ball to him, makes a cut, makes somebody fall down, another cut. Prentice is making people miss left and right, but he fumbles the ball, and Robbie Kress, Johnny on the spot, dives on it inside Derry territory at about the 45-yard line.
Yeah, heads-up play by Robbie Kress. Talk about making the best of your opportunity. Robbie Kress has really been thrust into a lot more playing time this year as a senior, as the second tight end, as an outside linebacker, and a big pick 6 last week from him. So, highlight play for his career right there last week.
Yeah, last week was a big game for the Trojans. They beat Freeport 33-7 in the de facto championship for the Allegheny 7 Conference. North Catholic won that 33-7, one of a number of basically conference championship games last weekend, including Central Valley beating up on Avonworth, and they were both undefeated in their section as well. Still in the Ram formation, Prentice is going to keep it, puts his foot in the ground, and he accelerates forward inside the 30-yard line down to about the 25.
Yeah, it looked like kind of an option play, and the seas parted for Joey Prentice right there. They definitely seemed to take the running back on that play. So, nice, another big chunk play for North Catholic.
And Derry is going to take a timeout, their second of the half. What do you think is the purpose of the timeout here for Derry, Darren?
Sean, to be honest with you, I don't really see the point in it. Maybe try to talk about what they're seeing out there, but pretty much anything North Catholic has ran has pretty much gone for at least 10 yards. So I'm not sure if there's really anything they can coach them up for at this point. So
this is a time you're inside a minute and a quarter. Maybe you're saying, like, let's imagine that this is the end of the half, the end of the game, and see if we can make a stand here in the last 30 seconds, or at least on this play. Or maybe it could simply be that their defense is tired. I think North Catholic is playing at a very, very fast pace on their offense.
And let's not forget, a lot of the guys on Derry's team are playing both ways. So, there hasn't been a whole lot of, stoppages. This game has been moving pretty well so far outside of the scoring plays. So maybe they did just need a breather.
Prentice he was walking up towards under center, but I think he is going to go under center. And Daniel Franco is 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Prentice takes the snap, fakes the handoff. He's going to throw to the end zone again. Liam Straub is there, and Straub catches the ball for a touchdown. Prentice, 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter.
Yep, great use of play action there. Great route by Straub. Defender kind of just, a little bit of low-level pass interference there, just turning his back, putting his hands up, not really playing the ball, but good focus by Straub to come down with that catch.
North Catholic's 5th score of the first quarter comes with 21 seconds to play. A 25-yard touchdown catch by Liam Straub, thrown by Joey Prentice. Ethan Marsico puts the point after about 2 yards through the upright. That was a shaky kick from Marsico. but it's good, and North Catholic leads 33-0 in the first quarter.
I mean, this is nice to see, Sean. This is the North Catholic team that we know they're capable of being. I know Derry has had its struggles, but it's not just they're making plays. It's the little things. It's the good snaps. It's the no penalties. Has North had a penalty today at all off the top of your head? I don't think they've had. So this is what we're talking about, doing those little things right going into the playoffs, getting clean, making sure you're having that mindset of execution overall.
That's a great point, Darren. I hadn't thought about that, but they have not had a penalty yet in this game. The only mistake they've done is kicking the ball out of bounds continually. Do you think this is the product of practicing these things all year and our offense is finally starting to run more smoothly, or do you think it's just a overwhelming sense of confidence knowing that you're going to win this game pretty easily?
Sean, what you might be seeing is the talent level. There's such a disparity that they could actually focus on those little things. Focus instead of just, sometimes they're worried about making a play against other opponents, even though they're beating these teams 40-0. There's such a gap. I mean, we look at the scores of Derry and, they're losing by 40 against teams that North Catholic beat by 50. So they could, take that mental idea of, hey, let me make sure my snap is good before I take my step out on that block. Let me make sure I have a nice clean handoff. Let me make sure I'm not holding. So maybe that's just a nice advantage of having a game like this to close out your season.
And one thing that the Trojans have done well all year is, of course, play staunch defense, and that has continued here. A jet sweep to White, and he's jumped on from behind by Kyle Topinski.
That was just pure closing speed by Kyle Topinski there. I mean, I thought there was a little bit of lane there. I thought Derry has actually been executing their jet motions, getting people out in space and forcing, one-on-one matchups that, North Catholic has been lucky enough to keep winning. But that was just a pure athlete making an athletic play, showing why he's getting those Division I offers.
And that's the end of the first quarter. North Catholic up 33-0. And I think in between the first and the second quarter, we're going to go to Alex for an update about our girls soccer team.
Thanks, guys. Tomorrow afternoon, our Trojanet soccer team will square right off here at the Mars Athletic Complex against the Yawk Tigers in the Whitfield 2A quarterfinals. Game time is set for 1 p.m. with our coverage on NCSN and the Trib Live High School Sports Network starting at 12:50 p.m. Back up to you guys in the booth.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for that update about the girls soccer team, one of the many North Catholic teams that are having great fall seasons. The Trojanets girls soccer team is in the AA quarterfinals. They've won the Whitfield Championship 2 years running now, going for their third title in a row. And the next step on that quest is to beat the Yawk Cougars tomorrow right here at the Mars Athletic Complex. Do you know how to spell the Youghiogheny River?
I know how to spell Yawk because I grew up, my school district, Elizabeth Ford, bordered Yawk, so I know it's Y-O-U-G-H. Do you know what they call Yawk's home stadium?
No, but
Cougar Mountain, Sean.
That's a great name. Here's a deep pass, and it is a jump ball, and it's caught. And I don't know if he came in bounds. That was Damari Robinson. And he got it in bounds.
I think the rule in high school is a force out. So if you're obviously catching the ball in bounds and someone forces you out, I believe they count that because I did not see his feet remotely get in bounds. But, I mean, obviously he elevated in bounds and was shoved while in the air. So
what a catch by Robinson.
Yeah, they call that mossing. Yeah. He really got mossed. So make sure whoever the North Catholic defenders were on that play, leave that one off the highlight tape.
Yeah, he high-pointed the ball in front of a couple defenders. Great play. First down for Derry. And immediately Robbie Kress is in the backfield with a tackle for loss.
It's almost like they angered them. They angered the North Catholic defense. How dare they get a first down?
Yeah, that was Derry's first down. The last game we did a 35-0 win over Deer Lakes for North Catholic. We kept track of, was Deer Lakes going to have a drive where they had more than one first down? and it took them a long time to do it.
And it was a very soft prevent defense they got it while running the ball. So take that for what you will.
2nd and 12, and it's a handoff to Ward up the middle, spinning forward for about 6-7 yards. Good run by Ahmad Ward.
This Ward has been impressive. The Derry offensive line isn't doing him favors, but he's running hard. I've seen him kind of drag some of the big, powerful North Catholic defenders. If Derry can somehow find this guy on offensive line, he might be a force to be reckoned with in the future.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore, 5'10", 195. That's good size, good strength for someone who's only a sophomore. He has been probably the best offensive player on the field tonight for Derry. And the quarterback is able to step up in the pocket and just chucks it deep, overthrows Nate Barkley by 5 to 10 yards.
I'm not sure if that was just a misfire by the quarterback or some miscommunication, because the Derry receivers weren't really even looking at the ball, and especially not even in the neighborhood of where it was thrown.
4th and 6 with 10:35 left to play in the second quarter. And it looks to me like Derry is going to at least line up like they're going to go for it. Could we see a pooch punt here? Or maybe Derry's just, they have nothing to lose here. And it is going to be a sack by Tyler Primrose.
Yeah, I thought for a second there what you're talking about with the pooch punt, but he didn't really deepen, so I'm like, well, I guess at this point, it's the best your offense has looked all game. Why not try it?
He took a step forward, or two couple steps forward in the pocket there, and then instead of getting ready to throw, he saw Tyler Primrose over there and just went into like protect mode.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta live to fight another day. Receivers, there might not have been a big play available, so just protect yourself, avoid injuries.
And North Catholic is coming out in, who is that? Liam Straub back in the quarterback position in a Wildcat formation. It's going to be a timeout for Derry, their third and final timeout of the half.
Yeah, I guess they haven't seen that formation before. Wanted to talk it over. One thing that is interesting, Sean, Liam Straub is was the emergency quarterback this year. Obviously with Carson Laconey being injured, he was usually the usual backup, and Jason Sickett as well. But with Laconey being out, you're down to only one backup, so you need an emergency just in case. And I've been told Liam Straub is the emergency quarterback.
So Straub, maybe he'll get a few snaps here. Carson Laconey is on the sideline. He is dressed for the second home game in a row, and he was running routes and warm-ups, running down passes, and I was wondering if we're going to see him play because
he's been out of the sling for a little bit now too as well. I mean, this is a case where, you'd love to get him some game time action going into the playoffs, but it's also not worth the risk. Why put a guy out there that you might need later in the year? So
Straub is in at quarterback. He does have 4 wide receivers, so if they call it that way, Straub has plenty of people to throw to. Long moves from Straub's left to his right, and Straub is going to follow Long, dipping and diving, and somehow he has not been tackled yet. Straub gets about 4 or 5 yards. He disappeared into a mass of humanity, and suddenly the play kept going. I don't know how he does that.
He's been doing this, for years now. He's been a returner, and he's always just been slippery. Like, you think someone has him dead to right, someone's about to wrap him up, and he just keeps those legs churning, and somehow he breaks free, and he's, running down the field again.
So 2nd and 5, 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Straub will remain in the shotgun position, this time Fennell to his left. Wide receivers are, I think, Butler, Maziarz, and Topinski. Daniel Long is the tight end to the right. Straub is going to give it to Fennell, and Fennell is met pretty quickly for no gain. Solid play there from the Derry defense.
Yeah, a little bit of a read option there. This is kind of ingenious, though, by Coach O'Shea and staff. Putting Liam Straub back there in the Wildcat and giving teams, whoever they play, first round of their playoff game, another look, something to think about. Like, you have a guy that is shown to be effective with the ball in his hands as a runner, slippery returner, and you give him this Wildcat look, and you force the defense to take time to prepare for it, which takes away time from more of their traditional stuff they have.
Straub is going to run an option here, makes somebody miss, and he's going to cut back to his left. He's got room. Liam Straub's got the first down. He's inside the 30. He's going towards the 20 where he goes out of bounds. Great run by Liam Straub.
Yeah, what a cut there. Realizes there's kind of a decent blockage, but not enough really to get the first down going the way the original play looked like a speed option. So, just totally reverses field and finds some green space for himself and breaks off a nice run there.
Yeah, about a 25-yard run, I think, by Liam Straub, showing that he is a very capable Wildcat quarterback. This time he's got no one in the backfield with him. 4 wide receivers and Daniel Long in the tight end position. Topinski moving in motion now, and Topinski's going to get the ball on a jet sweep. He's got a head of steam and just bullies someone into the ground before he goes out of bounds.
Sean, I mentioned this a lot, but were you a Madden player? Did you play football video games at all?
No, not really.
There was something that came out in the year, I believe 2007, called the truck stick, where you just flick up on the right analog controller stick and you would usually just run over whatever defender you had. And that was a truck stick. That was just, I am bigger and stronger than you and I am winning this run.
And he was heading out of bounds anyway. It's just adding some punishment.
They call
to
that
Derry.
sending a message, Sean.
Jack Fennell is going to almost squirt into the end zone for a touchdown, but a touchdown-saving tackle there by Derry's number 29, Nate Gray. And so North Catholic is going to have to do a first and goal from the 4 or 5? Or is this going to be second and goal?
Yeah, like I said, it's very interesting to see this another new wrinkle we talked about. Last year, I noticed the North Catholic offense was primarily in the shotgun, mostly 3 wide receivers. This year, we've seen a little bit more 2 tight end sets. Then we see them go under center. Now we see a wildcat formation. So this is all things that whoever they play is going to have to prepare for. You don't want to show up unprepared and let them take advantage of that. So that does take time away from their traditional stuff they run. You don't have much time to practice what you see with Joey Prentice out there and either Jack Fennell, Kyle Topinski, Chase Arrington in the backfield. So this is, like I said, just some great strategy in a game that really doesn't mean a whole lot by the North Catholic coaching staff.
Jack Fennell there, straight up the middle for about 2 yards. So it's a second and goal from the 3 or 4 yard line. There are some backups on the North Catholic offensive line on this drive, which is making it even more impressive. I see J.J. Iaquinta and Seamus Straub on the sidelines in front of us. Kyle Topinski is going to jog into the end zone from about 4 yards out. So Topinski with a 4-yard touchdown run. North Catholic's 6th of the night already.
That's one of my favorite formations that North Catholic has implemented this year is taking Daniel Long from either his tight end or wing spot that he's usually primarily playing this year and dropping him back into a fullback position and letting him, who's such a powerful, explosive, athlete, get a running start and kind of clear the way for even a bigger, and faster running. That's a hard thing to, deal with is Daniel Long leading Kyle Topinski. That's a lot of power, and I think a lot of defenders might make what we call a business decision and maybe not put the best effort in trying to get into the way there.
Yeah, North Catholic up 40-0 now with that touchdown run by Kyle Topinski. North Catholic's 6th on the night. It started with a 70-yard punt return from Liam Straub and then a Joey Prentice 7-yard touchdown run. It was 13-0 North Catholic at that point, and the Trojans had won 1 offensive play. Since then, Prentice has had 3 touchdown passes to Mitch Lanthaler, Tyler Maziarz, and Liam Straub, who has 2 touchdowns tonight. And then what you just saw was the Kyle Topinski 4-yard touchdown run to make it 40-0 North Catholic.
If we're gonna see starters, I don't foresee them being in for much longer. This might be the last defensive drive we see some of the starters in. You might see one more offensive drive. I mean, we might see them close out the half just, for that finality. Get such a gap that even if the JV does struggle, it's going to be hard to come back from. But we will be having that running clock, barring a score here in the second half.
And Derry, there was a little bit of a hole there for Robinson. He squirts up to the 30-yard line. So Derry still getting decent field position, even though they had to return that kick.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is that we do see some teams able to put up some decent returns against North Catholic. I mean, sometimes their coverage team has been outstanding closing stuff down, but we have seen some decent returns.
First and 10 from their own 28. And almost a screenplay, and Derry's going to get another first down. Ward just knocks over a North Catholic defender, trying to do his best Kyle Topinski impersonation there.
Yeah, we're starting to see some more backups in here now. So we're seeing that matriculation of the second teamers, which is awesome, getting them some varsity Friday Night Lights experience. But another hard run by Ward there. Good job by the North Catholic defender, staying there, forcing him out, and not giving up the big play.
Yeah, it's a mix of starters and second-team players out there for North Catholic. And they still have, like you said, there's pride on that team. They don't want to give up too many yards. But Ward bounces it to the outside. He's got the edge on Liam Straub, and a 15, 16-yard run from Ward. Derry finding success on the ground early in this drive.
Yeah, that's Derry starters are still in there. They're trying to put up some points. You still see kind of a mixture of starters and backups with North Catholic's defense. I'm kind of hoping here for a big-time stop so we can keep that running clock into the second half, excuse me. So,
yeah, the running clock is a 35-point lead at any point in the second half. North Catholic, of course, up 40-0. So if this score holds for the last 7 minutes of the second quarter, we would have a running clock. And there, Derry tries to run it right up the middle, and they have no room.
Yeah,
and they haven't had room running up the middle all game.
Daniel Long shoots in there for that play. Honestly, I don't think Air would put up much less of a fight blocking him in this game. He seems to, be running his pass sets, his pass rush sets, and his run stuff on Air practically. He's just so powerful, really beating that Derry right tackle, excuse me. The left tackle, sorry.
Yeah, Daniel Long is lined up on the right side of the Trojan line, which would put him across from Derry's left tackle. And they run away from Long this time, and Ward is really hit by Kyle Topinski, maybe dealing back the favor that Ward hit one of his teammates.
Kyle Topinski, he's out there, he's playing. Sometimes you see guys who are, extremely talented athletes getting looks. In games like this where it's, out of hand, they're just going through the motions. Kyle Topinski utilizing every play he can to, really show off what he's capable of and, enjoying himself out there, leveling some big hits.
Yeah, that was a huge hit from Topinski, one of several big ones for the North Catholic defense. And it is a pass. Camity was really breaking on that. If it was going to be a catchable ball, that was probably a pick six. And Long, again, was in the backfield pressuring Blake Revore.
I've been kind of watching him a little bit during this drive, and there's a couple times where he's almost literally avoided being touched, not even blocked. Like he's almost running around the entirety of that left tackle's pass set. I'm kind of seeing if it could work by the time, this game ends and before he gets pulled.
Derry 4th and 12. They are going to go for it again from the North Catholic 40. And they're going to throw the ball, just going to chuck up a jump ball, and that was to Nate Gray. And there was a little bit of room there, but the pass wasn't quite on target.
Yeah, that was pretty much a catch and throw. Not a whole lot of time to really drop back and survey the field. It was kind of a hot potato action going on there on that fourth down play.
And Derry has, I think, suffered some loss of players this year from the roster. That pass was to Nate Gray, who's a senior listed as a kicker defensive back at 5'10", 210. So not someone who's even rostered as a wide receiver out there trying to catch the ball for Derry. He definitely gave it his best effort. Joey Prentice is still out there, catches the snap, throws it quick to Jack Fennell. Fennell makes a move, and he gets about 20 yards down to the 40-yard line of Derry.
Very powerful finish there by Fennell. We're not used to seeing him, drag the pile. He's more of that speed burner, home run threat. But if you notice at the end of that play, first off, great usage of his blockers, using his vision. But he really seemed to drag a couple Derry defenders there at the end of that play.
Yeah, great run from Jack Fennell. And to a point you made earlier, North Catholic is doing a great job spreading the ball around to all of their playmakers. Straub, Topinski, Fennell, Maziarz, Prentice. They've all made excellent positive plays tonight, something that makes you feel good looking into the playoffs a couple weeks from now. Prentice, a huge hole up the middle. He's got a first down and more inside the 20-yard line before he's forced out of bounds.
Another straight run, classic QB draw. And like I said, this is kind of the time, too, if there's any other plays you want to run, like you think, might be beneficial in the playoffs, a play that maybe your team's not as familiar with, or a look or a formation. Now's the time to run it, get some practice, a game experience with it. The only thing I'd prefer to see Joey Prentice run out of bounds and save those hits from his body.
4:45 left in the second quarter. North Catholic 1st and 10 from the Derry 18, looking to punch the ball in for their 7th touchdown of the game, and it is still the first half. 4 wide receivers for Prentice. Topinski in motion. Topinski gets the ball, full head of steam. He's going to bull his way just to about the 10-yard line, setting up maybe a 2nd and 3.
Yeah, just once again, getting guys a couple touches. I hate to say it, sometimes you get those hits. You don't want to go a whole week without a hit. It's going to be kind of shocking your body. So as counterintuitive as it seems, you kind of get you comfortable taking those blows.
Prentice, ball fake, throws it to the end zone. Topinski wide open, another touchdown pass from Joey Prentice.
Just beautiful play action, beautiful awareness by Topinski at the end of that route. Make sure he gets 2 feet in. Beautiful ball by Prentice. This is some of the best consistent throwing I've seen from Joey Prentice. I think a lot of times last year he had the benefit of having a Nick Maher who is currently playing for West Virginia right now. Kind of as a safety blanket, he could just chuck it up or let him do his work. But really, I'm seeing a lot of pinpoint accuracy here by Prentice. Really good accurate throwing. That's something great because we've seen him kind of be up and down in the passing game this year. They've really depended on short little flicks and the running game. If they could really kind of implement some deep passing aspects to their offense, that's really going to open up a whole new world for this offense.
And with North Catholic up 47-0, we would like to tell you that our girls volleyball team is also in action tomorrow afternoon at Barth and Graham Court, as they too are in the WPIAL 2A quarterfinals. They welcome the Fraser Commodores to the court at noon. Our coverage will start at noon right here on the North Catholic Sports Network and Trib Live High School Sports Network. So that's 2 teams in the WPIAL quarterfinals, Darren. That we've talked about. There are more. So girls volleyball in the WPIAL quarterfinals going against the Fraser Commodores. They are also the defending WPIAL champs, and they've been in the finals now for 3 years in a row. They won it 3 years ago, lost the WPIAL finals 2 years ago, but won the state championship, and then won the WPIAL championship last year. So the girls volleyball team, continuing its great 4-year run, is into the quarterfinals as the number 1 seed in AA. Daniel Long boots this one right down the middle, not going out of bounds. And that's White on the return for Derry. He's trying to break it out to his right, and he made one person miss, but then North Catholic, a lot of support there. Derry will take over at the 22-yard line. Staying with the girls volleyball theme, one of the cheerleaders, Katie McNelly, is a middle hitter on the girls volleyball team, so she's got a lot of athletics action this weekend. She will be playing tomorrow.
Because they're both, obviously fall seasons. The ability to balance that, obviously playing at a high level at the volleyball courts and being also be an active member of the cheer squad. Kudos to her for being able to, time management to do both.
Yeah, good job for Katie. Hopefully she does well in tomorrow's match in the quarterfinals. And here's a handoff out wide to Robinson. He's going to gain some yards before he's met by a couple Trojans, including J.D. Butler, and forced out of bounds.
Yeah, Derry's, say what you will about this game. I know it's crazy to say, this team's doing better than most we've seen, but they've done a great job at those just jet motions, getting guys out. I know they're facing some backups, but still, it's some of the most sustained, not going back drives that we've seen. A lot of times we see teams, they end up in 3rd and 20s, 3rd and 15s, just, this mad rush from the front 7 of the Trojan defense. But Derry's, getting into a lot of 3rd and manageables. Yeah,
Derry has only had one 3rd and forever in the first half there, but there's a fumbled snap, and that's not going to help the manageable 3rd down situation. That really negates the 5-yard gain and puts it back into a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, we're seeing some different faces here on the defensive lines. Let's see if they could also get that nice pass rush we've seen the first teamers get.
Yeah, that was Tyler Primrose running off the field for Brady O'Hara. A throw out wide to Robinson. He catches the ball and valiantly dives but he's still 4 or 5 yards short of the first down marker. It's going to be a 4th down, and I think Derry is going to be forced to punt here as they're not even close to midfield.
Nice inside move by Julian King. I've heard some people say he's a very sneaky, talented pass rusher. That's definitely his strength, is pinning his ears back and getting after the quarterback. And what I've seen so far in this game, Julian's looked really good. So that's it'd be nice if next year that might be his year as a senior to really kind of show off his skills early on in the games.
Yeah, he could pull a what we've seen with Robbie Kress and Lucius Marbella this year, where you don't really start your first 3 years, but as a senior, you come in and make a huge impact. Julian will definitely be somebody who's counted on that next year.
And that's a testament to the talent level and the coaching of this North Catholic program. That, like, some schools, some of these kids from Derry, they're freshmen playing varsity balls. You could be a talented player, and sadly, there's some people ahead of you, and you might have to wait your turn. It's nothing against you as a player, just there's a high level of talent here. You don't always see guys, who are, 2-3 year starters. Like Daniel Long's example, being a starter last year as a sophomore, and he's already starting to get some looks from colleges. So you really have to really set yourself apart to, get onto the field here at North Catholic.
Prentice is still in the game. He's got Camedy, Topinski, and I'm not sure who split far out wide to the left there.
That's Straub.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess as well. And it's Fennell in the backfield, but he's met immediately for about no gain on first down.
Tackled by number 45, Vinny Kaczynski.
Under 2 minutes now in the first half. North Catholic up 47-0 on the Derry area Trojans.
Not a lot of urgency in this drive. Usually you see at the end of the half, maybe a 2-minute drill. North Catholic's just kind of running through their stuff. Once again, kind of using this as a live practice to get ready for their playoffs.
Prentice by himself, back in the shotgun, gets the snap, throws it quickly to Topinski. He makes the first person miss, and another person misses. He bounces off somebody else, and he's pulling 3 Derry defenders out of bounds. And a 15, 16-yard gain for Topinski, just pulling Derry defenders with him.
Kyle Topinski is just showing he's a class above pretty much anyone on this Derry defense. Really, the only person that seemed to slow him down was Ahmad Ward himself. The other person really running hard, so he had to come over and kind of clean up for the rest of his teammates there. But Topinski really kind of just put on some highlight reel action going here.
And we are under a minute now in the first half. North Catholic up 47-0. Prentice gets the ball, backpedaling. He's going to throw deep. Camedy wide open, and it's off his hands. That was another, I think, great throw from Prentice. It's just a little bit too far.
Yeah, I think that was the case. You don't see Gavin Camedy too much on the offensive side of the ball. He's done a great job playing defense this year. Prentice has had some issues where he had to come off the field. So he's done a great job at safety. It seemed like he kind of stopped running on that play and was kind of tracking a little bit. You got to sometimes, really keep yourself moving when they're throwing to a spot there, kind of leading his receiver. It was a great throw by Prentice, just couldn't quite come up with the catch there.
Yeah, to something that you've said a bunch of times, this is the best that Prentice has looked throwing the ball. And even there, that's a throw that's on target to Tyler Maziarz, and that allows him to get more yards after the catch. And Maziarz is dragging several Derry players inside the 20-yard line.
I want to say that the North Catholic offensive line, whether it's the starting combination or some other second stringers, they're doing a great job on those little tunnel screens, getting out there in space. That's such a hard thing, is to make a block in space. And they've been doing such a great job getting in those lanes, creating those cutting lanes, those running lanes for those receivers on those screens.
I think the left side of the starting line is starting on this drive. The right side is not the normal starters. Prentice to the end zone looking for Long. He almost makes a one-handed left-handed grab, but it falls to the end zone with 11 seconds left in the first half.
I just want to say that the blocking's been so good on these pass sets. Prentice has had all day to throw. I noticed, Tyler Primrose has no one to block. He just stands around because everyone's so handled. He has nothing to do, just can kind of turn around and watch Joey sling the ball down the field because the protection's been so good.
Yeah, I said that the right side of the starting line was not the normal starters, but I see that Seamus Straub is in there, and it is Nathan Putz in at right guard. Prentice to the end zone again. It's Topinski, and that one's off Topinski's hands. So 3 shots to the end zone that are off the hands of North Catholic wide receivers. This is still encouraging to me. This is not something that we've seen this year, is the Trojans taking shots at around the 20-yard line to the end zone. And that is something that was missing this year from their offense that they had last year. And if they can get that in the playoffs, they're just going to be that much better.
Absolutely. I mean, you definitely can, understand if they want to keep it conservative. Their defense has been so dominant, you don't really need to rush and force a bad thing to happen. But in this case, sometimes you might need to make that throw from 20. Maybe you're down in the game and you need to have these shots in from the 20. Maybe it's a 4th and 8, a 4th and 10. So it is promising. You just would hopefully see a little bit more connection on those long shots a little bit more consistently.
And here's our first penalty of the half of the North Catholic offense. A false start with about 5 seconds left. We'll see if North Catholic decides to run it from about the 23-yard line or if they take another shot to the end zone. Prentice is going to roll to his left. He's got Topinski in the end zone, fires it to him, and Topinski catches it in the corner. Another North Catholic touchdown as time expires in the first half.
What a great throw, what a great play. I've watched that play kind of develop, moving the pocket, get Jerry Prentice moving, rolling to his left. Anyone that knows anything about football is quarterbacks have an easier time throwing the ball, rolling to their throwing arm side. So a right-handed quarterback would have an easier time rolling to his right. So his ability to roll left, turn his body, plant, and throw a nice ball to Kyle Topinski. Great focus. Once again, defender in his face, hands up in the air. Just a great job on that play, and a 53-0 first half.
And make that 54-0 with the Marsico PAT. And that is going to bring us to the end of the first half as North Catholic is up 54-0. And that makes it 8 touchdowns for North Catholic in the first half. Joey Prentice had 5 touchdown passes in the first half. We can give you more information on who scored those touchdowns when we come back for the second half. But right. So actually, we can recap those for you right now. Liam Straub started things off on special teams with a 70-yard touchdown on a punt return. Then Joey Prentice scored with his legs on a 7-yard touchdown run. The next 3 scores were all passes from Prentice to Mitch Lanthaler, Tyler Maziarz, and Liam Straub. And then the second quarter, Darren, belongs to Kyle Topinski. A 4-yard touchdown run, a 12-yard touchdown catch, and a 23-yard touchdown catch as time expired. And those are all 8 of the touchdowns that North Catholic had in the first half. They lead 54-0, and now we're going down to the sideline for an interview.
Coach, earlier in the year, you guys were getting a good amount of splash plays on special teams. Yeah. Then you cooled off a little bit. How big was it to get that big punt return touchdown there?
Yeah, I mean, special teams are such a big part of the game. And, when we do well on special teams, we make our opponent have to prepare for more things during the week. So it was great to have that. Liam made a beautiful move. We set up the wall. It was perfect. And Jack should have had one there almost. He got down to the 5. So, yeah, well, special teams-wise, though, we got to clean up our PAT. It's been bad the last 2 weeks. It's been good all year. But, those splash plays are big. But the fundamentals, we got to sharpen that up.
Yeah. Lastly, in a game like this, what do you guys want your players to work on in the second half?
Yeah, so, I mean, Coach O'Shea's, we know Derry's been struggling this year. Give those kids credit and their coaches and their AD for coming out and playing tonight. But, the whole week was about just our fundamentals and sharpening up what we do. And, the first half offensively, as you guys know, we've had some issues with some penalties. We've had some issues with some snaps occasionally. We sharpened all that stuff up. We've sharpened all that stuff up today so far in the first half. So in the second half, the goal is, while younger guys will be in, just to play sound, fundamental football and do what we can do.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Coach.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys doing this.
Final weekend of the regular season. It's week 9. Welcome to the halftime show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, sponsored by Export Tire and SE Tire. They work hard to earn your business. They have your size tire in stock. They can install it today. All the best brands at the best tire prices. Export Tire, Old William Penn Highway in Export. SE Tire, Route 51 in Bell Vernon. We thank them for sponsoring our get-together. Don Rebel, Chris Harlan. Again, like last week, it's time to talk playoffs by the end of this weekend. We will know who is in. We will know who is playing who. The brackets unveiled Saturday, 6 o'clock on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. But what do we know right this moment? Let's check it out. We'll start, Chris, in 6A. Mount Lebanon in, Central Catholic in, North Allegheny in, Seneca Valley in. North Allegheny, Seneca Valley playing Friday night for third place. Ken and McNelly, even though they lost to Norwin, a lot of strange things would have to happen to keep them out of the postseason.
Yeah, perfect scenario to get North Allegheny, Seneca Valley on the field in Week 9, because that third place is the third wild card. Kind of nice to see those two kind of go head to head and figure it out amongst themselves who's going to get that bye.
Right. Mount Lebanon Central Catholic already know they'll be off in Week 10. The winner of Seneca Valley and North Allegheny will join them watching the first round, the opening nights on Trib HSSN. All right, let's go to 5A. We'll start in the Big East Conference. Penn Trafford, Gateway, Woodland Hills, Franklin Regional have all clinched some wiggle room for moving up and down based on that Franklin Regional Gateway game. Northeast Conference, Pine Richland, Penn Hills, North Hills, Fox Chapel are all in. So those two conferences are set as far as the teams that have qualified. Allegheny 6 Conference, still one spot up for grabs. Moon, Bethel Park, Upper St. Clair have clinched, coming down to that South Fayette Peters Township game on Friday.
Yeah, I think 5A is still probably the most unpredictable in that we could still have a three-way tie for first place in the Northeast. And I like that in the Allegheny 6. You know, even though South Fayette hasn't won a game yet, they're still in it. Everybody from top to bottom in that Allegheny 6 has an outside chance of making the playoffs. And I think that makes the season exciting for everybody involved.
Yeah, West Allegheny still involved as well as they face off against undefeated Moon. All right, 4A, Big 8 Conference, big game on Friday. McKeesport taking on Bell Vernon on the beach for the conference championship. Both those teams are in. Thomas Jefferson, Laurel Highlands have also clinched. Greater Allegheny Conference, remember, 5 teams make it from this conference. 4 have clinched. Hampton, Armstrong, Indiana, and Highlands looking good in all the wild cards. The reason those 2 have clinched. Plum, Mars, still alive, along with Greensburg-Salem. Plum, Greensburg-Salem, big game Friday to determine a likely playoff spot. And finally, Parkway Conference, Aliquippa, Beaver, Newcastle in. Winning, you're in. Chartiers Valley hosting Montour.
Yeah, Don, kudos to you on those Greater Allegheny Conference tiebreaker scenarios. If anyone has like an afternoon free, find it on the website. Good reading there. That's a lot of work to break down that conference because there's still so many moving pieces.
My fingers remain numb trying to figure it all out. All right, 3A, 2A, and Class A coming up. Halftime show, Week 9 here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Need new tires in a hurry? SE Tire has your size tire in stock. Installed today. Before you hit the open road, see the tire experts at SE Tire. We do tires and we do them right. Before you hit the open road, see the tire experts at Export Tire. We do tires and we do them right. If it has wheels, we have the tires. Export Tire, your commercial tire headquarters.
Hey, you just heard from them again. Tip of the cap to SE Tire, Export Tire. They've been sponsoring the halftime show all year long. Old William Penn Highway and Export for Export Tire. Route 51 in Bell Vernon for SE Tire. All the best brands at the best tire prices. They work hard to earn your business. All right. 3A in the Northwestern 6 Conference. Central Valley in, Avonworth in, Keystone Oaks in, and one of the great stories, Ambridge also in the Allegheny 7 Conference in 3A. North Catholic, Freeport, East Allegheny have clinched, coming down to Burrow and Deer Lakes for the final playoff spot. And in 3A's Interstate Conference, Elizabeth Forward and Mount Pleasant in. 3 teams alive for the final 2 spots. Big one, Southmoreland taking on South Park Friday night. South Allegheny, also a big one, as they host Mount Pleasant.
Hey, it's always a much better spot in Week 9 when you're like South Allegheny or Southmoreland where you win, you're in. I mean, that's a whole lot better than having to try to win and look and see if the other dominoes fell. So definitely better to be in that win and you're in spot.
Yeah, it is tough to have it out of your control and then take care of business and sit back and you just have to have your fingers crossed. 2A's Three Rivers Conference, Stowe Rocks, Western Beaver, Southside all in. Only 3 guaranteed teams in the Three Rivers Conference. In the Allegheny Conference, same situation, only top 3 guaranteed. Sarah, Steel Valley in. Ligonier Valley beats Apollo Ridge. They are in. In the Midwestern Athletic Conference, they take 5. Laurel, Beaver Falls, Neshannock, Mohawk, all in. It comes down to Freedom against New Brighton for the final playoff spot. Century Conference, Washington, Chartiers, Houston, McGuffey in. Beth Center against Waynesburg will decide the final playoff spot. In that wild card, looks like either it'll come down to Seton LaSalle or Shadyside Academy.
Yeah, I think 2A looks like it's going to be our deepest playoff field right now. When you look at what you got, I mean, Stowe Rocks is out there as our number 1 ranked team and kind of the favorite for everybody. But
significant, yeah.
Coming into Friday night, though, we had 5 teams undefeated still in 2A, including Sarah Catholic, Steel Valley playing Friday night for first place in the Allegheny Conference.
Yep, big showdown that people have been talking about all season long. Finally, Class A, Big 7 Conference. Remember, top 5 in Class A. Cornell, Rochester in. Shenango, Olsh, Fort Cherry, Bergenstown, and even Northgate still alive for the 3 playoff spots available in the Big 7 Conference. Eastern Conference, not as available. Clairton, Bishop Canevin, Greensburg Central, and Leechburg are in. Saturday's Springdale Riverview game will likely decide the 5th team in the Eastern Conference. And then the Tri-County South, West Green, Carmichael's, Mapletown, California, all in. Monessen, Avella on Friday likely decides the 5th playoff team.
Yeah, congratulations officially to Leechburg. They've clinched the playoff spot. First time in 33 years. The Blue Devils hadn't been to the playoffs since 1988. So congratulations to them. Big accomplishment for that program.
Yeah. A lot of great stories in 2021. That's among the top. And it's not, I mean, that's a team that can make some noise in the playoffs too. So we'll wait and see. Again, the brackets unveiled Saturday, 6 p.m. only at hssn.triblive.com. Chris, great job on the playoffs the last couple of weeks. We'll give you next week off. Dr. Harlan will come in and hand out his final grades. I know he's family, so and you're a little biased, but he does a great job.
I always like listening to that one.
Yep. All right, enjoy the second half of the game you are listening to Week 9. Don't forget Scoreboard Show. All the scenarios, final scenarios, we'll have them for you during that show after the game here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
And we are back with the start of our second half coverage here on the North Catholic Sports Network and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. The North Catholic Trojans are up 54-0 over the Derry area Trojans, and it's been a blowout from the very beginning. The first time North Catholic touched the ball, it was on a punt return touchdown by Liam Straubin. From there, it's been pedal to the metal for the Trojans. Not a moment of hesitation on offense. The offense has been clicking on every level. This is a game where you really get to work on the fundamentals at every level and every position, because you're playing a team like Derry where you can get away with a couple mistakes here and there. You can get away with not having a good snap or not having a good first step on the line or on the D line. Either way, this is a game where you work on the things you need to work on and get those ironed out before you get in the playoffs in 2 weeks. And with that, Trojans, you just got to stay healthy, make the right plays, and you're in a good position to have a good half. And we'll set it up to the booth. One thing that has not changed, before I say that, it has not gotten any warmer down here on the field. Feels like 45, as it says on the weather app. And this is where I'll set it up to Darren and Sean. And I want them to tell me, where do they get the feels like temperature, these apps? Where do they get the feels like temperature, guys?
So thank you, Alex. Recapping the first half there, North Catholic up 54-0, and Alex is letting us know that it's pretty cold there down on the field. And he wants to know where do you get, like, it feels. So my phone tells me it is 48 degrees, but it feels like 45. So Alex's question was, where do we get that feels like temperature? What do you think, Darren?
Maybe something to do with the humidity. I don't know. You are the trivia expert between us two, so might throw this. I was hoping you would know.
I mean, I think it also got something to do with the wind chill.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. So I think it's a little bit cooler than the actual temperature, so there must be some sort of wind or chill out there in the air. But yeah, this is definitely our coldest game of the year, but it hasn't done anything to slow down the North Catholic offense. Their cleanest game of the year, up 54-0. And we're going to have a running clock in the second half with 8-minute quarters. Normally those quarters are 12 minutes, but with the degree of the blowout here and final game for Derry on a long season for them, we've got a 8-minute quarters, and those are starting about 2 minutes. We're going to give 2 more minutes for the players to warm up out there on the field. Well, excuse me, 1 minute. 1 minute.
Maybe it is 12-minute quarter, Sean.
Oh.
I was hoping maybe we get the shorter quarters to get us out of here. Maybe they'll make a decision to switch over on the fourth. You know, at this point, you know, it's not pretty out there for the Derry area Trojans. You know, it might serve them better to go with 8 minutes. I know it's a very extremely fast quarter, you know, half if you do it that way, but sometimes it's better to get things done quickly.
Yeah, so we are going to play a full half. The 8 minutes were up there for a little bit, but we are going to play a full half instead. And it is going to be a running clock, so it should go. It will go fairly quickly, but we're going to hope to keep talking about some of our other North Catholic sports teams that, in addition to the football team, have done very well in their fall sports season, as Derry is getting ready to boot the ball away on the kickoff. Back to receive deep is Liam Straub at about the 10-yard line. And Fennell and Topinski are at about the 20-yard line. So North Catholic sending out its top-tier returners, at least, to start this half. Warming up at the sideline, though, we did see Oliver Gibson snapping to Jason Sickett. So you would figure to see that center quarterback combination. And it is a line drive rolling into the end zone for a touchback. Good kickoff from White of Derry. North Catholic is going to pick it up at about the 20-yard line. So, Darren, we talked about the girls soccer team, and you can catch their game tomorrow on the North Catholic Sports Network at 1 p.m. as they are in the 2A quarterfinals. They are the number 1 seed, I believe. The boys soccer team got the number 9 seed. So they went on the road, beat the 8 seed, then went against number 1 seeded South Park and upset them last night 1-0 on a penalty kick. South Park had a handball in the scoring area that led to a penalty shot that was taken by Dylan Greggs, I believe, who put North Catholic up 1-0. And so a 9 seed North Catholic Trojan boys soccer team is into the quarterfinals.
And Sean, let's not forget, South Park was not only ranked number 1 in the WPIAL, they were number 1 in the state. So honestly, I'm just kind of talking around. A lot of the soccer boys honestly thought that was going to be their season there, but they decided put their best game forward, and they come with a huge upset.
And I think some of that is that the soccer team played in a really tough section this year, so they were well prepared to face good teams in the playoffs. And Sickett makes a play fake, and he gets hit, and it's a fumble, and Derry picks up the ball, and they're going to score. That is Colin Barkley, number 60, a freshman lineman, and Barkley is going to score. Derry is on the board.
And you would have thought Derry won the World Series with that score, but they were still down 54-7.
They are still down 54-7. That was at about maybe 10:50 in the third quarter.
And the entire JV team is in at this point. Hopefully, just keeping this game moving as the clock continues to run even after the score.
That was Barkley for Derry with a 20-plus yard fumble return.
White on to attempt the point after.
And White, their kicker, is on. I would expect him to put this through with how he was kicking in warm-ups. He was making 40-yard field goals in warm-ups. And even with everyone in North Catholic got through the line, he still got that kick up and in.
Your score with just under 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter. North Catholic Trojans 54, Derry area Trojans 7.
54-7 with just under 10 minutes to go in the third quarter now. Derry gets on the board. Something I wasn't expecting this. I don't know if you were. I thought we were going to have the seventh shutout on the season.
I thought there was some potential with the backups in there. I mean, say what you want about Derry. They are a varsity team. Getting those varsity reps, facing that competition week in and week out, while we have some JV guys, obviously facing a different level of competition. And Derry has been averaging 7 points a game. So they have put some points on the board somewhat consistently throughout their season. So, what I'm seeing here, just a little bit of bad luck. It stinks that we can't see the shutout. It stinks it's going to, mess up North Catholic's point per game total. I'm sure the varsity guys aren't too thrilled with the JV line and the fumble there. But, that's a lifetime memory that Derry will have, putting 7 points on North Catholic. That's something they could tell their grandkids about.
Yeah, just an ugly play there from North Catholic. And we've seen Jason Sickett do much better than that at quarterback this year. He played the majority of their best win of the season against Blackhawk. He played most of that game. That was the game that Prentice was hurt in.
That's two different situations, Sean. I hate to say it, in Blackhawk, he was in game manager mode. Let's make really smart, easy, high percentage throws. Let's hand the ball off to our playmakers. Or here, you let him take some chances. It's a game that's in hand. It's a game that really doesn't matter. It's a running clock, so you can see what he could do. Let them have some fun on a Friday night. So
White, another line drive kick. This one goes out of bounds. So North Catholic will pick it up again at about the 35-yard line as we are ticking rapidly toward 8 minutes to play here in the third quarter.
Sean, do you know if there's we know the record for most out-of-bounds kickoffs in a game? Like, if we look that up somewhere? Because we might be closing in on that.
I'm sure that no one has kept track of that. We've got 6 or 7 tonight. So
I know, because usually don't have that many scores. So the ability to kind of have that, maybe this could be a game for the record books,
Yeah, I will write it down. I'll write it down somewhere on my game notes, and I'll try to keep it track for next year to see if we can break that record or even approach it. Do you think, are we at 6 or 7? North Catholic has done it 4 times, I know.
So I think we're at 5.
So we are at 5. That is the first one for Derry. Is Daniel Franco on the left side. Burst of speed, gets up near the first down marker. 8 or 9 yard run for Franco.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Good block, good carry by Franco. This is nice to see. Some guys don't get varsity action. Going against the varsity team. We mentioned, the struggles they've had, but once again, like I've said, they're getting varsity snaps all year. They're facing varsity competition. The old saying, iron sharpens iron. I'm sure, that experience means something. So to see a lot of these young guys get that experience and perform well is a very promising sign.
It is Sickett in the shotgun. He gets it and hands it off to Franco. Franco gets the first down up near the 50-yard line. And we are under 7 minutes now. In addition to all of the North Catholic teams that are still playing, there was a few whose seasons are now over, but had pretty successful years. The girls' tennis team, which I help coach, made it to the playoffs for the 5th year in a row and lost in the first round to Beaver. Sickett gets the snap, and Franco runs at about 4 yards on first down. So good, I don't know if chunk play is the right word, but solid gains of 4 or 5 yards.
The old YPC, yards per carry, still looking pretty good for Franco right now.
And then, of course, the Trojans also have had one WPIAL championship already in this school year. That's the boys golf team, winning the first golf title since North Catholic has moved up to Cranberry.
Sean, philosophical question for you with the JV golf team. Varsity golf team winning WPIAL. So I am the JV golf coach. So does that mean by proxy I'm a WPIAL champion?
I would say, well, I think you would have to ask your varsity golf coach. Like, if there's, let's imagine that there is a fictional, like, golf Stanley Cup. Does your name get on the trophy?
Yeah. Would I make it onto the golf Stanley Cup of this WPIAL championship, you know? That's a question kind of brought to us.
I mean, that's normally up to, like, the I forget who puts those names forward for the actual Stanley Cup, but I'm sure that would be up to Coach Billy Burke.
I know
for
many
the
of
golf
our
team.
we had a few seniors on the JV team are proudly say they're WPIAL champions.
Yeah, everyone on the team. Why not? You can say that you were part of a WPIAL championship. And those golfers made it to the state finals as well, and I think they got about 4th or 5th place on Monday. Third down play. Franco, nice cut up the middle. He's got a first down. Franco moving to the 30-yard line. Another Trojan first down.
Yeah, great running by Franco, just reading his blocks, and great push up front by the young guys. Derry's defenders might be tired, but that's part of the game. These guys are coming in. Sometimes it's hard to come off the bench cold. In these types of games, you're just kind of like balling yourself up, trying to stay warm, so to be able to come off, fire off the ball, get a push. Kudos to those guys.
And Derry is going to be drawn offside, setting up a 1st and 5 for North Catholic. We are rolling towards 4 minutes to play in the third quarter. Sickett pitches it to Franco. Franco puts his foot in the ground, cuts up inside the 20, inside the 15, and he's going to be thrown down out of bounds. A couple players looking for a flag, but nothing doing. Franco has looked good on this drive, Darren.
Yeah, he's doing a good job following his blocks, running tough, keeping those feet moving. Being a decisive runner, you say, plant his feet, make a cut. He's not, trying to dance, make the big play. He's taking what he got, and he's moving himself forward, and it's really showing to be beneficial.
About 3:30 left in the third quarter. Sickett looking to the sideline, getting some plays. He's got three wide receivers. I think those are Jacob Valentine, Gavin Camedy. Camedy is in motion. Sickett fakes the handoff to him. He's dodging and darting up the middle. Sickett trying to carry the Derry team into the end zone. He's not going to quite get there. He's tackled at the 2 or 3 yard line.
Yeah, so really promising drive here by the young guys. I mean, you'd love to see it. When you bring the young guys in and you're up, sometimes you see some of the step back, especially when they're facing varsity competition, but they're really moving the ball. Like, this is just a quality drive we're seeing here.
Yeah, great response from the backup offense here after that disastrous fumble that was returned for a touchdown by Derry on their last possession. North Catholic is marching the ball right down to the field. It's a 2nd and goal from the 3, and Daniel Franco is into the end zone. Touchdown for Daniel Franco with 2:40 left. Franco with a 3-yard touchdown run.
Yep, Franco looks solid on the drive. Like I said, not trying to make the big play, making the smart play. And that's what we like to see. You need that sometimes. Just guys who follow their blocks, get you solid yardage. You're not going to worry about them losing a lot of yardage. So great job of the line, great job by Franco on that drive. Classic, running this clock down, even though the clock's already running. Continue to move towards the end of this game.
Yeah, this has been a lightning fast third quarter. North Catholic essentially has had 2 possessions on offense. Derry has not got 1 snap on offense yet in this quarter. It is a little bit faster than normal running clock. Normally you would see the clock stop on touchdowns, right?
I don't think it does when we get to that 35 point. I think it continues to run even with the touchdowns. The whole theory is, don't give the opportunity to see, 80, 90 points sometimes you put on the board, which, in theory we possibly could see tonight if starters let in with, with a non-running clock. So, just try to keep the game, in hand and get it out of here, prevent injuries.
Yeah, so 61-7, North Catholic returns its lead to that very comfortable 54-point margin that they had going into halftime. Derry did score a touchdown on a 22-yard fumble return to break the North Catholic shutout. And I don't know if that's going to put North Catholic in jeopardy of losing the points per game allowed title in AAA.
I think they have it pretty securely. I think the second lowest is Elizabeth Forward at 7.4. So
yeah, the second, you're right, and they've given up 67 points. So North Catholic would have had to give up 29 points tonight to even have a chance of losing out on that. And the ball is kicked off to about the 20-yard line. That kicker was 75 for the Trojans, and Derry gets the ball running down the sideline, and a diving attempt by a North Catholic player, and that's going to be another touchdown for Derry. 22, Ahmad Ward, an 80-yard kickoff return touchdown.
Sean, more importantly than the kickoff return touchdown, we had a lineman kicker. A lineman kicker. That's the most exciting part of that play. I don't care what anyone says. You don't see the big guys getting to kick the ball too often. That's what got me excited for that play. The touchdown is kind of secondary to that.
With about 25 seconds left in the third quarter, Derry adds their second touchdown of the quarter on a special teams play. Ahmad Ward, and we saw him doing well against the first team defense occasionally against North Catholic, showing that he is definitely a step above the JV maybe kickoff
I mean,
return
honestly,
team
Sean,
there.
I don't think Derry has the number of players to put in a full, JV roster out there. I think, that they're forced to just let some of these varsity guys play. And, like I said, Ahmad Ward has really proven he's a varsity player. And we had a big guy carry now, too. This season's been great, Sean. Big guy touchdown by Lucius Marabello. Big guy kickoff. Big guy carry. I mean, the only thing we're missing now is a big guy touchdown pass. That happens today. I can't even broadcast next game because I don't want to have the potential of not having anything as good as that. So, maybe Coach O'Shea could let one of the big guys stir the ball once for me and make my year.
That would be – I don't know if I've ever seen a lineman pass. Did Mike Vrabel used to? He caught passes. He caught passes. I can't think of a single lineman.
You see some carries, some refrigerator
passes.
parries, but yeah, I'm sure one of the big guys can throw. Let's give him a chance. At this point, why not?
Yeah, that was on the carry for Derry. That was Dylan Rhodes, one of their, I think, 11 seniors is what I counted on their roster. So a cool move, I think, from their coach, giving him a chance to carry the ball for a two-point conversion.
My senior year, my best friend was the starting left tackle. We actually had a formation called Buffalo where we put him in the backfield and we were going to let him get a carry, but we never actually got to use it because we were really excited to let him just carry the ball once, but never had the opportunity to break that out in our last game. So.
Jason Sickett, the quarterback, is back deep to receive this kick. That's interesting. And a good kick here. It's going to go all the way into the end zone and roll out the back. So nice kick from White.
I'm surprised the clock stops after that kickoff. I thought it. What?
So 61-13. North Catholic offense will take the field here. 25 seconds less to go in the third quarter.
I really hope North can come away with one more score so I can see at least one more big guy kickoff to really close this game out on a high note.
Yeah, who was that kicking off for North Catholic? That was number 75, who's Jackson Murray, a freshman lineman. Sickett hands the ball off to Franco. Franco gets the edge. He's going to get another first down, and he's going to get up near the 40-yard line. And that is, I think, going to end things here in the third quarter. A third quarter with a surprising amount of scores for a running clock. We had 3 scores in that quarter. A 22-yard fumble return for Derry, an 80-yard touchdown return on a kickoff for Derry, and then Daniel Franco punctuated a long North Catholic drive with a 3-yard touchdown run. And in between the third and the fourth quarters, we are going to hand it down to Alex Brown, who's going to tell you about some more stuff that's going on here at the NC Sports Network.
Thanks, guys. The latest episode of our North Catholic Athletics podcast is available for you to listen and download at the northcatholicathletics.org. My friend Ryan and I get you caught up on the recent success of our fall sports and their road to the Whitfield Championships. Check out our fall playoff push episode today. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts tomorrow morning. Back up to you guys in the booth.
And thanks for that update, Alex. We are back up here in the booth, about to start playing the fourth quarter. North Catholic up 61-13. If North Catholic gives up, I think really any more points, they are going to. That'll be the most points they've allowed this year. So that's something to play for. How do you evaluate the play of the Trojans in that third quarter, Darren?
I mean, it's a case of, one bad luck touchdown and you have one guy who's a superior athlete, kind of the reverse of what we've seen all game. A 100% varsity athlete. I think he could be starting on a lot of teams in the WPIAL, and he just was able to make a play.
Franco carrying the ball again, dragging a few people forward for about 6 or 7 yards, and as you said earlier, yards per carry, still very good for North Catholic.
He's running tough. The classic running tough. He's moving his feet, taking what he got, and just keep moving that pile forward, keep moving the ball forward, create second and shorts, third and shorts.
2nd down and 3. And there is a false start they're going to call on North Catholic. So that's going to push that back to a 2nd and 8. If you're watching online and if you look closely at the linemen, some of the linemen are going to line up with their hand on the ground. Some of them are going to stand straight up. What's kind of the difference between those two stances and what those linemen are trying to do, Darren?
Historically speaking, if you look back, 20, 30 years ago, the 3-point and 2-point stance we're referring to. The 2-point stance was used in obvious passing downs because it allowed the linemen to kick and get their kicks and pass protection a little quicker. The 3-point stance, obviously, classic saying, slow man win, lets you fire out on the run blocking. So that's kind of where you see that sort of pop up in the early, mid-90s, this 2-point stance where, people are starting to throw more, and it gives them that ability instead of having to, pop themselves up from being down low. It allows them to stay higher and get into those pass sets a little quicker, for pass protection.
And as Darren is giving you that very insightful explanation of lineman stances, there was a 22-yard run by Jason Sickett, followed by a personal foul on Derry. So North Catholic moving the ball quickly inside the 25-yard line now with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I assume 2-point stance means the only parts of your body touching the ground are your 2 feet.
Exactly.
And 3-point stance is you've got your hand on the ground as well.
And sometimes you'll even see a 4-point stance. Some of those speed rushers in the end really take like a sprinter stance to put both hands in the ground to really jolt off the line.
And here is a jet sweep towards, I think that's number 6, which I think is O'Shea. Yes, McGinnis O'Shea, one of the many O'Shea children who have attended North Catholic. His sister Delaney is a senior. He had a sister graduate last year, Shaylin, and there was another O'Shea who graduated
Patrick?
a couple years ago.
Oh, no, that's
Finn O'Shea was here when I was started teaching at North Catholic. He was a lineman, a good lineman on one of those North Catholic football teams that just still have not got past the semifinals, but they're hoping to do that this year, of course. The snap, Sickett keeps it. He's got room to the outside, sprinting to the first down inside the 15-yard line is Jason Sickett. So when you talked about the 2-point and the 3-point stances, you said the 2-point stance was really an innovation to be able to pass block better. But in the last decade or two, there's been a lot of information out, especially on the college and NFL level, about concussions and head trauma in football. And I read a Sports Illustrated article last week that talked about a push to almost eliminate the three-point stance from levels below high school. And after this play, I'd be interested to hear kind of your take on that, as it's a handoff, and that's number 28 for the Trojans, looking for the end zone. He doesn't get there, but he gets to about the 5-yard line. That was Austin Gaetano.
Well, Sean, talking strictly, an X's and O's thing about that dynamic. The one thing you'll see a lot of colleges now, that the linemen, outside of the center, are never in a three-point stance. A lot of tackles you'll never ever see. Sometimes the guards go back and forth, but you do see a lot of these lines, primarily and almost exclusively stay in a two-point stance. And coming from the X's and O's, I can't speak to the head trauma and the studies done on that, but coming to the X's and O's, if you line up in that two-point stance, everything looks the same. And that's effective because, like I mentioned, the two-point stance was utilized to get offensive linemen in their passing sets quicker. So sometimes it's kind of a tell. You see linemen in the two-point stance, you're assuming a pass is coming. With that, and teams are utilizing the two-point stance for runs, everything looks the same. So you really can't key on a run or a pass.
Jason Sickett almost gets into the end zone, making a couple people miss. And I think what you were saying, North Catholic, if you watch their line, their tackles almost never have a hand on the ground. But the guards in the center do seem to occasionally get the three-point stance. And North Catholic does do a lot of shotgun offense, so it kind of makes sense that the tackles don't have their hand on the ground. But here on the 1-yard line, they do. Sickett under center. Could we see a QB sneak? Yes. And he's going to get into the end zone. Jason Sickett with a touchdown at 6:30 of the fourth quarter.
Now, speaking of that example there, we see our lineman down a three-point stance. It is easier to fire off the ball. They say fire off, explode into that defensive lineman, use your hands to really drive him back. When you're three-point stance, you're down and it's the natural thing to come out of your stance and fire up. So you'll see, obviously, if you pay attention to football, a lot of guys now that come to the NFL from college, they're great pass blockers, but maybe they needed to worry more about improving their run blocking game, while 20, 30 years ago, a lot of college linemen were great run blockers and you needed to work on their passing blocking. So that's definitely a change as a personal level. I've been on both sides of the ball, stand-up defensive end, three-point stance defensive end, tight end, split-out tight end. You do definitely feel you're able to engage and drive a lot more and move people out of that three-point stance. That was my personal preference, going into three-point stance. If I really wanted to explode out, and to try to stay low and get some movement on the people there.
High snap brought down by Butler, but the kick is partially blocked low and no good. So we are now at 67-13, and the clock is running in the fourth quarter. We are zooming rapidly towards 5 minutes left to play in the game. And now Derry, they still have not run an offensive play, unless you count the two-point conversion attempt, which is kind of bizarre. That they have not run an offensive play in this second half. They've had a fumble return for a touchdown and an 80-yard kick return for a touchdown, and then the two-point conversion that didn't work. So if Derry gets another long return, or if they turn the ball over here, there's a chance they don't run an offensive play in the second half. You were talking about records.
Yeah.
That would have to be a record,
yeah,
you would think.
Very, very, you don't have a lot of drives with this moving clock. One thing, though, too, I'm not sure if they'll have the time or be able to get the ball back, but if North Catholic could somehow score one more time, that would be the highest point total against Derry all season. So far, Indiana has the record at 70 points scored on this Derry defense. But let's see, possibly North Catholic could come away with the record and with a touchdown and getting up to 73, which is consequently the highest score of a point total I ever faced against, when Thomas Jefferson beat Elizabeth Ford in 2007, 73-10.
And Thomas Jefferson has traditionally just been an amazing football program.
I think in the 3 years I played varsity, I played against 6 Division I football players, all going to Power 5 schools. Seven, excuse me. At least 3 to Pitt, 1 to West Virginia, 1 to Virginia Tech. So.
Anybody who made it to the NFL?
Dom DeSico, I think, was a practice squad player, and he might have been on some active rosters here and there. Lucas Nix, who started at guard for the Oakland Raiders for a couple years. He was 6'8" in high school. So, yeah, that was a daunting presence looking at him. Outside of that, no one else made it. But one was Rhodes Scholar, I believe, after he went to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so Thomas Jefferson, and they're good again this year, I'm sure, too. Always looking for repeal titles.
Chase Winovich, who's had a lot of success with the New England Patriots. He's a Thomas Jefferson product as well. So, I mean, Coach Bill Sherbeck has a great program down there, constant success. It's really an institution there at this point.
3 minutes about to play in the fourth quarter. Derry will get to run an offensive play here in the second half. And let's see who's in at quarterback. I think it still is their first-string quarterback, Blake Revore.
But they appear to be giving Ward a break at least.
Boy, and I did not think the quarterback kept it there. I was looking at the running back, and I thought he just didn't grab the ball and fumbled it. But it was a good fake by Revore there, although he is laying.
Yeah, Derry has done a great job with misdirection and ball fakes. If they just had slightly better athletes, slightly bigger athletes, I think they could definitely be a problem with what they've had today.
And Revore is a little bit more shaken up than maybe we had thought. It's going to be an injury timeout. So hopefully that Derry quarterback is going to be okay as he gets up, and it looks like he's going to walk off the field under his own power for the most part.
Yeah, he really got driven into the turf there. It did not look pretty.
.2:25 to play in the final regular season game for the Trojans. On both sides. Both teams nicknamed the Trojans.
Yeah, North Catholic's a little bit more of a City of Troy pre-Trojan horse coming in, while Derry is a little bit more full Trojan horse running wild.
Darren does teach ancient world history at North Catholic, so good mythological history reference there. A fumble, and 64 of Derry falls on the ball. That's Owen Monick. Going to be 3rd and probably 18.
3rd and 18 for Derry.
I'd be willing to bet somehow the ball gets into the hands of Ward on this play. Probably the next two plays.
Yeah, the backup quarterback is Mason Beeman, who's the tallest player on the team at 6'1". This long 3rd down, and they handed off to, that was Damari Robinson, another jet sweep.
Now, at this point of the game, minute left, do you go for it? It's really, why not run one more offensive play? What's going to kill you? Or you punting it? I think it looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, it's a good call, Darren. The offense is staying on the field for Derry. It is 4th and 14. Rapidly going towards 30 seconds. They do have to run this play, but this probably is going to be the final play of the game, you would think. And Derry is looking to pass, and he's going to go deep, letting it go. Oh, boy. He had Ward open, and that was broken up by
Luke
22.
Baker.
Luke Baker, freshman, I think. Yeah, no, sophomore at North Catholic. Luke Baker breaks up. That probably would have been a touchdown. And that would have been the most points North Catholic has given up this year. But Derry turns it over on downs, and North Catholic, I don't think, is sending their offense out on the field. We are under 10 seconds, and that's going to be the ball game, everybody. North Catholic wins 67-13. They were up 54-0 at the end of the first half. Joey Prentice had 5 touchdown passes to go with 1 touchdown run. Kyle Topinski leads the way with 3 touchdowns on his own. And then in the second half with the running clock, Derry, you got to feel good for their seniors on Derry, getting on the board a couple times with a 22-yard fumble return for Barkley, Colin Barkley, and then Ahmad Ward with an 80-yard kickoff return. This may have been the most points that Derry scored all season. No, they did get 15 in a 70-15 loss to Indiana. So Derry did get on the board a couple times. Made it a pretty fun second half, honestly. Some of these second halves with the mercy rule can be tough to watch and tough to announce, but that was actually a very entertaining half, I thought. There were some interesting plays. We had linemen kicking off, linemen running the ball, the North Catholic JV players moving the ball up and down the field. Daniel Franco getting a touchdown, Jason Sickett getting a touchdown. So that was a pretty entertaining second half. This is, of course, the end of the regular season. North Catholic is probably going to be the 2 seed or the 3 seed. They are the only other undefeated team besides Central Valley, so I would imagine they're going to get the 2 seed, even though Elizabeth Forward is the other section champion, and they beat North Catholic in the semifinals last year, so you could make an argument that Elizabeth Forward gets the 2 seed, but North Catholic maybe will get that 2 seed, and we're going to go down to the field right now for an interview with Liam Straub, who started all the scoring tonight.
I'm down on the field with Liam Straub after North Catholic's win over Derry. Liam, on the first offensive play of the game, you returned a punt for a touchdown. How awesome was that play?
It was a good feeling. It was good to get one back. I haven't got one since Ambridge, but also there's nice blocks on the punt return. I got to give it to the punt return blockers. Yeah. That's all.
In a game like this, how awesome is it to get some of the younger guys some work and let them go at it?
Yeah, the younger kids do amazing. I mean, they work with us every week. They're the scout team, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to know what they run and stuff. So the scout team and the JV do a great job.
After an undefeated season, you guys know how to do the playoffs. What are your goals going forward?
Ultimately, make it to Hines. We got to get over that hump. It's my final hump. That's what we want to get to the Hines.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Liam.
Thank you.
Good luck in the playoffs.
And thank you for that post-game interview with Ryan Berry and Liam Straub. So heading into the playoffs, which are going to be about two weeks from now because North Catholic is going to get a bye, what can you take away from tonight's game, Darren, looking forward to the playoffs a couple weeks from now?
I mean, if you're a North Catholic fan, you really have to be really happy with this game. I mean, obviously besides the score, but really how they played. You know, everything seemed efficient. Maybe one kind of high snap all game from the varsity. I mean, everything looked really on point, doing well. So really just hoping, kind of have a general practice, maybe work on your conditioning, your strength next week, maybe have a little easier week, classic bye week like you're here at the NFL. And then once you figure out who you're playing, get ready to prepare, and hopefully you continue that clean game, because I really think if North Catholic can avoid the penalties, avoid the fumbled snaps and the miscommunications and stuff along those lines. I mean, they have a championship defense. If the offense just kind of does its part and plays clean and doesn't put the defense in a tough situation, I think they'll find their way to Heinz Field by the end of this year.
Yeah, I love that phrase you used, championship defense. That certainly is what North Catholic had. It wasn't a shutout tonight, but it was a shutout from the first team defense, even though that didn't extend to the whole game. This is maybe probably the most confident that I've been in the years that I've been at North Catholic that this team can get to that final game at Heinz Field, where they would probably play a really tough game against Central Valley. But that's all in the future. For tonight, it was a game where they looked really crisp and clean on offense, which is what we were looking for. So our next football broadcast is going to be a WPIAL 3A playoff game for your Trojans. Playoff brackets are scheduled to be released tomorrow, Saturday, October 30th. To see where the Trojans are seated, you can find the WPIAL playoff brackets once they are out at tribhssn.triblive.com. We will have all of the coverage for the Trojans' first playoff game right here on the North Catholic Sports Network and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. So for Darren Lyles, Ryan Berry, and Alex Brown, this is Sean Malone signing off. Have a great Halloween weekend, everybody.
This game and the streaming broadcast rights to this game are the sole and exclusive property of the WPIAL. Any broadcast of this game is intended exclusively for the benefit of the North Catholic Sports Network audience. Any use, rebroadcast, or distribution of this broadcast without the express written consent of the WPIAL is prohibited.